Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turner and I'm here with Sean Bell.
Hello.
Matt Murray.
Hello.
And James Farley.
Hello.
Let's start by announcing our Patreon producers for this month. They are Aaron Patrick, Simon Nelson, Tom S., Jack Oven, Moomin Biscuit, Richard Sawyer, Dave Ernsberger, Colin Brown, Gazman, and Gabby Pereira. They are the Full Nels crew. They are the Full Nels crew for December. It's December. Can you believe it? It's December.
So well, I mean, technically, some of them might cancel tonight, and then they wouldn't count as December.
They're December. Let's not bring.
No, I'm just saying. Obviously, they deserve a shout out tonight. I'm just saying the situation might change.
So right, okay, now we might not care about you.
Now we've got a full year. A full 12 months of Full Nels members. Now I will get everyone's names and I will sign them a place to go in the UK, and there'll be fights over across January and February, and then we work out
hang on. So when did this go from a football club to a street fighting ring?
It was mentioned. To be fair to Matt, it was mentioned before the football club. The fighting was mentioned a few weeks before the football club, and then maybe top 5. They're going to the team. We put the Full Nels crew through the ringer this year. There's no doubt about it. You wait until what 21,
what I would like is so we have every month we collect the names, and then there's maybe like a Tough Mudder at the end of the year.
What if we did a Full Nels of the Year where we did like same as the Game of the Year show?
And we have to argue about it.
We have to look through all the feedback they've sent in.
My nomination is Tom S.
How many times have they retweeted us and stuff like that?
Yeah. That would be great.
If do the listeners wild card the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you would like to support us on Patreon, please go to patreon.com/TCGS, various different tiers, etc. We thank you so much for your support. Genuinely, we would not be here now if it wasn't for your support. This would have been one of those podcasts that I abandoned and flew off and no one will remember it. But instead, we're massive. So thank you so much.
But only support a Full Nels tier if you're good at Tough Mudder and football or fighting.
I would also say that it is a good week or good month to sign up to our Patreon, because we have our bonus show where Sean is going to tell us all about The Office and what he thought of The Office.
All the things I've learned.
And we've got some stuff planned for the Talks Over for this month, so very excited about that. And of course, when you do sign up to that tier, you can watch the current Talks Over, which we recorded this week, at any time. You don't have to wait for the month for us to release it. You can watch it now. Thank you so much for your support. Right, December then. So I was looking at the calendar this morning when I woke up, and I realised that
was the first thing you see when you wake up.
Yeah, I've got it sellotaped to the ceiling above my bed.
Absolutely not the first thing I look at. I never look at the calendar.
Well, we know that, James, from last week. Jesus Christ.
You look directly at your dick for a good 15 minutes to look.
Like, just to check it's there.
It's still there, James. It's still there.
Oh, it's good to check sometimes, though, isn't it? Reach a certain age, you never know.
What goes on? Like, we have a bit of a laugh and then James just shuts down now.
What are you talking about? Okay, you said something and then they're all like getting their witty retorts in and everything. You didn't even give me a chance to say a thing. It's like ridiculous.
Here's your chance.
Well, I've got nothing to say. I mean, I don't know why you'd say, why would you bring my dick into this? I don't understand.
That's the episode title.
I was going to say, but not before.
What a start. So I was looking at the calendar and next week is the draft show. It's pretty scary.
Yeah, that's what came out now.
At one point this morning, I Googled best games in 2020.
Just to check.
Yeah. It's a bit worrying, isn't it? My list is not long.
It's been a weird year.
It has been a weird year, but there are some games that I'm very passionate about. So at least we've got that. And all the fun and games. I looked
at my list from last year. I looked at my 2019 completed list, and I had double the amount of games I did at this stage of the year.
Right. For those of you that haven't been listening to the bonus show, there's a couple of things that we need to say. First of all, we are sticking with the wild card system. So we'll all be picking 4 games plus a wild card next week. for you to vote on. And the other one is that we're not going to challenge whether a game should be on the list when we nominate them next week. We're going to save that for the Game of the Year show. So,
I've got a question about the rules.
Go on.
So, if hypothetically, if I wanted to nominate a game that's on PC in early access now, it wouldn't be, but it's almost definitely getting a console release next year when it's finished. I'm not allowed to nominate it again next year, am I?
No.
Okay, fine.
Well, no, hold on. Because you can't. Yeah, because once you've nominated it, it's in that Game of the Year show.
Yeah.
I thought so. You can't.
Just checking.
So, I mean, you can't nominate it 2 years in a row. Yeah. That's a rule that we had in place. What if you mentioned that on the?
No, it doesn't matter. It's a moot point.
It all depends on if you want to risk it, Sean, or not.
Well, I was going to say, what if you all played it next year and then you all really loved it?
But,
no, but it can't be nominated.
No, if it's been nominated,
the odds of that are slim anyway, so it's fine.
Don't ruin it.
Okay. All right, should we get onto the feedback from last week's show, Matt?
Yes, I mean, we're not going to talk about when these shows are going out.
No, you can do, but it sounded like we were kind of undecided of when the draft show was going out just before recording, so I didn't want to go into it. But go for it. Go on, run them through the schedule.
So we are going to record the draft next week. My current plan is that I will actually release it a day earlier than usual, depending on how that draft show goes. It's not a nightmare edit. That we often record on Mondays. The plan is I'm going to get it on the Tuesday to give everyone more time to vote for the wild card. The plan is that the pod will come out on the Tuesday. The vote will start on the Wednesday. So there's a bit of a day's grace for people to listen to it before they see tweets about voting. Mm-hmm. And then that vote will start on Wednesday, so midday, go all the way through to midday on Saturday.
Matt, will you be okay to do your video on Thursday?
He's got plans. It doesn't matter. The moment you give him the script, he's got to arrange it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to arrange it. I'm going to do the video in the same time it's taking you to do the script. I think that's only fair.
Read the small print, James. Read the small print. Okay. So is that all laid out? We all happy?
Yeah, and then the actual Game of the Year episode will be out on. I've got it sorted. It's
brilliant.
No, it's sometime in December. Don't worry about it.
Can we have the quote, please?
No.
Have you got the quote there?
All you need to know is that the pod will probably be out a little bit earlier next week to accommodate this voting we've got going on.
Yeah, the draft show will be out a little bit earlier, so you'll get that. And yeah, I'm very excited. Very excited. I've already got my tactics. I'm kind of happy with where I'm going this year. So it's funny. It's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be an interesting one. Right. Now do we get onto the feedback, Matt?
Now we get onto the feedback. Correction Man has emailed in. Hello, last week Matt said that PS5 runs Assassin's Creed Valhalla at 4K 60 and 4K 30 on Series X. This is actually incorrect as both versions target 4K 60, although there has been some performance problems on the X that may have been fixed in a recent patch, which also added a 60 frames option for the Series S. Cheers. I knew what got wrong as I started saying because I wasn't clear on the details, but I'm glad everyone's happy now. You know about your 4K 60s and 4K 30s, which I'm fairly sure have probably changed twice since I read out this message about a minute ago. So
yeah, so Valhalla released an update this week that had a performance and a fidelity mode. Is that what they call it? I can't remember what they call it. But yeah, a better graphics mode. And I looked at both of them, and at first I thought, oh, this looks really bad in 60 frames per second. And then John reminded me that I've been playing it in 60 frames per second. The graphics haven't changed from that. It's the other mode that's been added.
Series S phones, wasn't it? Because they couldn't change it.
Yeah, so then I switched it to 30 frames to look nicer. It looks fine as it is, like in the other mode, but 60 frames per second is pretty much essential. Like, I never knew that I'd love that so much, 60 FPS, but once you get used to it, man, it's hard to go back. It is very hard to go back. So yeah. I
wonder if that's the same for people who have been playing in 120 frames. I want to feel like I cannot go back to 60.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've not experienced 120
No, me
frames.
neither.
I really want to try it out.
I feel like
but
I'm missing
there's not
out.
many games. You'll end up playing Gears, and Gears seems fine and everything, but
Or Ori,
playing that
that's
all the
another
time.
one. Or Dirt 5, that's another one.
Okay, next.
Hakon Lingstad has emailed, lads, please read this feedback in your worst Norwegian accent. I'm not going to do that. I'm not sure where to even begin with that, so it's probably best not to.
I would start off by saying that Matt is the worst person I've ever heard do accents in my life. I think at some point, Matt, we've got to have an accents podcast where you just do accents, because it's amazing. Basically, every accent sounds the same, and it's incredible. It's hilarious. We need to do this at some point, maybe for our bonus show, Matt.
No, it's a bit dangerous. So I'm not going to do an accent, and you'll be glad to know. Here's the email. Dave must be absolutely mad. The voice acting in Assassin's Creed Valhalla sounds 100% dog shit to me. Now, this might be because I'm Norwegian myself, but I find the accents used in the game are over the top and inaccurate. For some characters, it's a case of a somewhat decent take on a Norwegian accent being exaggerated way beyond the point of it becoming ridiculous. For others, they sound Swedish, Finnish, or fuck if I know what they were trying to convey. Furthermore, that weird-ass Norse they have some of the unimportant NPCs speak doesn't sound like the kind of Norse we had to learn in secondary school. I suspect they just made up some gibberish like what you find in The Sims. Please note, I'm not cross with you, even with Dave, but with Ubisoft. Who can blame me anyway? Thanks for letting me stay natural. Hakon Lingstad.
I did think that, right? Like, because obviously I played Watch Dogs Legion, so I've seen how bad Ubisoft are at regionalised accents. Oh, hello, mate. Welcome to London. So I was wrong in that regard. But what I suppose the point I was making, I weren't really even focusing on the accents. But if you look at the way the characters talk in Valhalla compared to the one that I played, Odyssey or whatever, what was the other one? I always forget the names.
Or
Origins, that was the one I played.
Greece or Egypt?
Greece.
Oh, Greece, that was Odyssey then, yeah.
All right, okay, Odyssey, yeah. So when I played that one, the voice acting was so bad that it didn't matter about the accents. Like, that wasn't even the problem. Like, the voice acting was just shocking, and I think a lot of that's down to the script as well. Whereas this one, brilliant. Like, the characters are talking to each other in a natural way. That's really cool. Some of the side quests are a bit wacky, and when it gets wacky, the writing goes downhill. But no, I think it's a massive improvement over the previous Assassin's Creed games I played. Because Black Flag, I know you like that one, Sean, but the voice acting in that weren't great either, was it?
It's good. What's wrong with the voice acting in it? Right. Everyone makes me laugh. Like, it's one of those. Everyone's like, oh yeah, they made the main character Welsh and they blatantly got a guy who isn't Welsh to do the voice. Yes, he is. The character wasn't even Welsh until he auditioned for the part and is actually Welsh. And they went, actually, yeah, fuck it, let's make him Welsh. Fun fact.
Well, I didn't say that.
So don't fucking dead.
That back
you fucking dead,
face.
Dave. Fucking shut up.
But no, I think the voice acting is acceptable in this game. But yeah, I could totally see why you would not think that if you're from there and those accents are because I'm fully aware of. I mean, you just got to hear every London accent in a video game ever. Just absolutely shocking.
Cool.
Read the room, Matt.
Well, I was waiting for you to finish the sentence, but you did. Okay. Sky Potter, gentlemen. I had to say it in that accent. Listening to your discussion on stick drift on the DualShock 4 reminded me that my mate went through 2 pads, which were doing exactly the same. No obvious reason why, and the Farley fix, Wadge in a bit of contact cleaner, didn't work either. I hope
wait. Can I just stop you there? I said on the pod last week it doesn't work for DualShocks. It only works for Switch controllers.
That's true.
On the pod. Hey, with James. I've never heard you say that before.
Really?
Hey, okay. As I said on the pod last week. Okay. All right. New Slick James, we're going to call him.
Ooh,
oh, shit. I was supposed to introduce him to sharpshooter James Farley. James, the wildest gun in the West. To cut a long story short, when we did our talks over this week, we found out that James is not only an arms dealer, but he still owns 2 weapons. Anyway, come on, let's crack on. Let's crack on.
Can I ask you a question about that, though? Did you find that recording of me saying that my PS5 had crashed?
I didn't go back, but I will listen to it. And
please do, because you're not going to find that. I'm convinced you're not going to find it.
Yeah, I'm very sure you got
it
mixed up because it's me who said that. But
yeah, you said that, and then James went, "Oh, actually, yeah, no, that's a similar thing happened to me." And
didn't say
talks
that.
about Crash on his.
Similar
Okay,
thing.
all right, I'll find it. Go on,
When you don't find it, are you going to apologise?
James. We're talking about content that only a few people have seen in the middle of the show.
No, there'll be other people. No, there'll be other people listening to it as well. Exactly, I know. This is what's ridiculous, right? You've probably been caught out now with this, where you had a right go at me on that thing about that, how I was inconsistent about what I said, and then made up something that I probably said on the show, even though I didn't. And now you're trying to wriggle. You're now trying to wriggle out of
no,
like
I just haven't
apologising.
listened back to it. No, I'm not apologising until I know that I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, you know that I'll apologise, no problem.
Rubbish.
But,
you just wouldn't mention it again.
But
That's
basically,
what happened.
for those listening that don't know what the fuck we're talking about, I said on the Talks Over, which barely anyone's seen, right? I said on the Talks Over that James was talking about his first PS5 crash, and I went, you mentioned it on the show last week that the PS5 crashed. You went, no, I didn't. And I said, well, I'll find the audio. And then I forgot about it, and now James wants an apology without me even checking.
No, I said I didn't know. I said, are you going to apologise when you find out you're wrong?
Absolutely, of course I will. You know I will.
Great. Well, that's it then.
When have I not done that?
Well, okay. So this is what I love your arguing technique, Dave. It's just this, like, you just suddenly, like, okay, so am I supposed to now listen back to all the shows and then tell you when you've ever done that?
No, just use your memory, mate. You seem to have branded me as some sort of guy that avoids apologising.
Your memory's not that great either, clearly, because you can't remember correctly.
Right. Okay, I will listen back and I will let you know. This is not the time or place for it, James. Pick your moments. Right, come on.
I did pick my moment. It's just it wasn't your moment,
you
wasn't it?
the wrong one.
Yeah, it was the wrong one for you, wasn't it? Go on, get on with it.
No, it's the wrong one for the show. You've cut into the show with something that happened that no one knows about in the middle of someone's email.
Bullshit,
James.
because what would have happened is if you had have listened back and it turned out I was wrong, this would have been right at the top of the show and you'd have been ripping into me about it. That's what would have happened.
Well, not really, because we mentioned it on another... Oh, fucking hell. Matt, can you just continue? James, we're going to have to talk after the show. This is a weird... Right, go on.
You all right, Sean?
Yeah, not bad, thanks.
Okay, cool, right. Carry on with
Am I in the wrong here? You shouldn't have brought it up now, right, Sean?
I mean, it has derailed things somewhat, I'll be honest.
But I'm within my rights. I'm within my rights during the feedback section to talk about something that we talked about on the show.
We didn't talk about it on the show.
We did. We talked about it on the Patreon show.
Yeah, but that doesn't count, and it's annoying for people who aren't patrons. Although, if you do want to sign up, patreon.com/TCGS, then all of this will be absolutely fascinating.
It sounds like a brilliant reason to sign up. Yeah. It's
full nails, probably.
Yeah, look, he's trying to twist it into advertising now.
Can I carry on Sky Potter's email?
Please do.
Okay, we're talking about the Farley fix. Anyway, I helped him diagnose the issue, and it turns out it's Bluetooth interference. Plugged in the pad, turned off the wireless communication, and voila, no more stick drift. He's now stuck using them both as wired pads until he can work out what is causing the interference. Seems like this is a well-documented issue with PS4 pads, whether own brand or third party. Hope this helps someone else out there. Keep up the great work. That's wild, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. I mean... Great. Sorry, James?
Oh, so it's great. It's good that he's helping out the community.
Yep, right, I'm going to move on because this is... Okay. Charlie B, hi all. Absolutely fucking brilliant show. You have Guilty. Every week you smash it. Guilty. Just one thing that Dave... What's up now, David?
I said I don't know about this week. Every week you smash it. Well, this week has got a bit funny, isn't it? What's happened this week? Go on.
Just one thing that Dave keeps getting wrong. Read the method of starting a party with friends on a PS4. Yes, it's clunky if you do it from the main menu, but it was a quicker method. Hold down the PS button, scroll down to friends option, write friend in list, and click on chat and party, and bang, you're in a party when the invite is sent. It's been like this for ages, but obviously as Dave uses Xbox for social games, it's understandable he wouldn't know this. Lots of love to you all.
Oh, nice one, Charlie. I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all, really. But if it's that quick, then that's much better. I mean, I used party chat recently, especially when I was playing what do you call it, the Fall Guys game. Because I was doing that on Oculus, wasn't I?
Yes.
So yeah, I was using my PS4 to play Fall Guys a lot, and had I known that was an option, then brilliant. But okay, thanks for that.
One thing I'm going to add in terms of feedback. Last week, James and I spoke about the control center menu, and I was saying, it's annoying when you want to turn the power off. You got to like press the PlayStation 1 scroll to the right. If you press it and then press left once, it like you cycle around the menu. So you go to power straight away.
Yeah. I love it when menus do that, and I absolutely hate it when they don't. I've never understood menus that don't do that. It's one of my biggest irritations.
That's way better than me going right.
It's one of my biggest irritations in anything like that. Like, I'm at the menu, and when I press up on the top menu, just let me go to the bottom. Like, it's doing nothing otherwise. Just let me go to the bottom of that list. Yeah, good. Well done, Sony. Well done.
Mr. Oliver Quest, read the News Grinch. No, it's News Goblin. Not.
To be fair, we didn't really, continue with that, did we? I think we sort of agreed we would and then didn't bother. So if people are going to get it wrong, then that's on us, to be honest.
Yeah, well, so I'm basically thinking we should mention News Goblin every 15 minutes in this episode.
Yeah.
Just so people 100%. Are familiar with what it is. Read a News Grinch / News Goblin. Here I am, wrapping my child's Christmas gift as your podcast wraps up. Although I'm using sellotape, the tears I'm shedding right now might serve as a better adhesive. It brings me no pleasure to admit that I started crying after listening to Matt's heartwarming discussion of bug snacks and realising that, having failed to procure a PS5, my daughter will not be playing it. I wrote in a couple of months ago imploring Mr. Farley to drop his last-minute pre-order so that she could have a shot at unwrapping one this December. Instead, as the owner of the original Xbox One, I'm holding a half-wrapped and tear-stained copy of Super Lucky's Tale in my quivering hands. All I beg of you is to please curb your excitement in your voices when you talk about bug snacks. It's killing me to hear about the bunger my daughter and I will not be catching this Christmas. I will try to go to sleep soon with my swollen eyelids tightly shut and dream of how Mr. Farley's bug-free, whisper quiet, not that big PS5 could have brought the warmth of a child's smile to our home this year.
I mean, if he was really serious about this, he could have bought a PS4 and a copy of Bugsnax for 17 quid for that. Simple.
That's a point. That is a
heartless point. Yeah, no, but pretty heartless thing to say, isn't
it? No. Why? He's saying buying a PS5. That's really expensive. If he was really bothered, he could just get a PS4. It's and a copy of Bugsnax for 18 quid. Not bad.
Okay.
Mr. Oliver Quest, I hope that advice has helped you. Hopefully you can afford the £150 PS4.
Super Lucky's Tale. I mean, why that?
It gets worse.
Exactly.
He's sticking the boot in now, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, it could have been
you, James.
There's better games. There's better games on Xbox than Super Lucky's Tale.
Have you played Super Lucky's Tale?
I have, actually, yeah.
How far did you get?
Not very far, because it's not very good.
I was about the same. I think I did the first level or whatever. It was just like, well... yeah, what would you recommend instead of Super Lucky's Tale then, Jay?
Wolfenstein The Old Blood.
James.
Oh, we said, hey, what's his name? Sorry, look at old G. I like James. Right, okay, this is brilliant.
Yeah, we did laid back.
G.
Go on. What did you say, James?
I did say Wolfenstein The Old Blood, but seeing as it's for kids, probably rare replay. There you go.
Yeah, but they're old games, aren't they?
I know, but there's good. Come on, all of those. Most of the games on that are still better than Super Lucky's Tale. It's got banjo nuts and bolts. That's brilliant.
Yes, mate.
That is a very good game. Runs well on the Series X as well.
Next one here's from Sam Hartford, who is actually the developer of Super Lucky's Tale. I started listening to the pod this year and really enjoy it. Thanks, Sam. Sean's taste for great animation is what keeps me listening in case he drops another reference to Samurai Jack or Space Ghost. So I don't get how he missed the opportunity last week to suggest IO should work on a Lupin 3. Is that how you pronounce it? Lupin 3 game instead of the predictable James Bond. The rest of the gang should check the series out, and Sean can tell you exactly why.
Right. The reason I'm going to disappoint you here, Sam. The reason I didn't mention that is because I've never seen any of the Lupin the Third stuff.
I have. There goes Sam's a listener. There you go. There he goes.
It's one of those. There's loads of films and manga and shows, I think, as well. I've never really known where to dive in. James, I don't know if you've.
I have seen it. Yeah,
there you go.
I've seen quite a lot of those, and it's not bad. It's pretty good. It's not my favourite of the stuff, but it's still pretty good.
Did I pronounce it wrong? Was it Lupin 3?
I thought it was Lupin the Third.
Yeah. Lupin the Third, yeah.
Lupin. Oh, God, I really messed up, didn't I?
It's
Steve
French
Shaw.
for the
Worry
wolf,
about that.
I think. I mean, I wouldn't lose sleep over it, but yeah.
Okay. Well,
You've
I
come
might
back
do,
from
actually.
worse.
I lose sleep over a lot of things. Steve Shaw, the weird mechanic that I think will be prevalent in next gen is outer world structure and storytelling. Not necessarily the time loop bit, but the totally non-linear detective work bit. Perfect for open world games.
So yeah, because when I read this, I was like, oh yeah, to be fair, because we've also seen this in Paradise Killer and probably other games. But
is that how Paradise Killer works as well?
Yeah, so I do wonder if that's going to be more of a thing. It's a difficult thing to get right, though.
I mean, also Hades does it.
Not in the same way, though, is it? The mystery isn't the point. Like, the mystery just sort of unfolds by itself.
Hades is way more structured,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I mean, as in, like, you go back, different things will happen because it's like a roguelike, but the story progresses.
Yeah, but I think what he means is more sort of open world stuff where you're just wandering through an environment, like, talking to people, picking up clues and sort of piecing a thing together yourself.
What a game Outer Worlds is, eh? Bloody game.
That's all right.
Okay, it's a sore point. It's a sore point. 12 months on, it still stings.
What's that?
It's a
The
very
Game
sore
of the Year
point for
stuff
me.
last year.
What knocked it out?
You know what knocked it out?
I can't remember. I genuinely can't remember.
It's fucking... No, actually, maybe it wasn't, but it was... it's all because of Life is Strange 2, innit?
Yeah.
Let's face it.
Because
right,
you
okay.
gave in,
Face
Sean,
it.
basically.
Yeah, well, you gave in on fucking Disco Elysium. There's no clean hands here, Matt.
I didn't want to. I hated giving in to Life is Strange.
Yeah,
as
I
much
hate
as
giving it
enjoyed
a
the game.
wild. Look,
Matt,
we've got another Game of the Year show to do in 2 fucking weeks, so let's...
Yeah, I know. Matt put in the WhatsApp group today. Oh, see, the problem is, I really hope it's not another one of those cases where it's just who's played the most, like what game's been played by the most presenters. And I thought, well, don't allow it to be them, Matt.
I'm not going to. I'm going to do everything
time.
I can to make sure that's not the case.
Okay, well, let's see. Let's see.
The last person here is Daddy. Just wanted to say I love you. I mean, it's not my daddy.
I was going to say, what made me laugh about this is reading that and be like, well, it's definitely none of our actual dads, is it?
No, absolutely not. No, there's a...
Yeah. I've posted you the sort of text I get from my dad. And, yeah, that is not my dad.
The typos are just as bad as yours. So
They're worse. I nearly sent you a message he said today. It was just completely, I couldn't understand a word of it. At least with mine, there might be 2 of the 12 words that make sense. With him, it's none of them. It's just like he's typing with his nose or something.
your
right, okay.
nose. That is it for feedback. It's at no, don't no. You don't go out. No, never go out. You go to tcgs.co/dear TCGS if you want to leave some feedback. And just to clarify, that you can go to that link whenever you want, not just in the morning when we post it on Twitter. Whenever you want, just leave us feedback and messages.
You can do it now.
I mean, don't do it
now.
while listening. Well, you could do it while listening. No, don't, because then what you do is you'll like clarify. You'll ask a question that we clarify in about 15 minutes time.
Yeah, get to the end of the
That is
episode,
one
take
of them.
notes as you go, and then when you get to the end,
That happens a lot.
Yeah, at least once a week, someone's like, I can't believe you said... Oh no, sorry, listen a bit further and you went back on that. So thank you.
James, time to shine, mate. It's the News Goblin in the house.
News Goblin.
The PS5 is the biggest console launch in history. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it turns out that the PlayStation 5 has outsold its predecessor in the first 2 weeks. And so that makes it not just like the biggest PlayStation launch, but the biggest console launch ever. So in 2013, the PS4 sold 2.1 million units in 2 weeks. And so this has sold more, apparently. So
Do you know what I hate? Is like no one gives numbers for anything these days.
yeah, they don't do
Yeah,
that.
no.
It's like,
Is this worldwide, or is this like what regions does this include?
The news story doesn't address that, David.
That's the problem, isn't it? That's the problem. Like, that's a pretty headline, but I'd love to know if there's any small print to that.
Well, we know. Okay, so it launched in North America, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, and South Korea. So
Yes.
it must be all of those combined, I'd imagine.
But bigger than in those regions previously. But
Yeah.
I'll say this, I'm surprised because Xbox had their own announcement last week about how well they did with their consoles. The PS5 has their announcement this week, which is, which is great. I didn't see that coming considering A, we're in a global pandemic, and B, a lot of people have lost their jobs. So there's problems there from the production side, and also the consumer side. But I guess I was wrong.
Yeah, I thought it'd be more
actually,
supply constrained, but guess not.
I mean, they're expecting. I mean, Sony say that they're expecting it to outperform over to the end of this fiscal year. So the PS4 sold 7.6 million during the same comparable period. So they're expecting they're going to sell more than that over the current fiscal year.
What was always the phrase? The first to 10 million wins.
Yeah,
I think they're going to have to raise that, aren't they? Because they get there really quickly these days.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it looks like these consoles are selling really well. So that's surprising to me.
Yeah, it sucks we don't get hard numbers anymore, but it's good. I'm not surprised at all, but no, it's good that they're saying so well.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, they've also teased a PlayStation response to Xbox Game Pass as well. So
shit!
Well, this is I'm prepared to be disappointed for this. So
why is that?
Well, okay. So Jim Ryan, who's the CEO of Sony Interactive, has said that there is news to come regarding a PlayStation version of Game Pass. But he also pointed out that they already had a competitor called PlayStation Now that is available in a number of markets. But then the reason I'm not getting excited about this is that it says that there's parts of the Xbox Game Pass strategy they would not be emulating, and the main one of those is that they're not going to start releasing new Sony games.
There's no chance
on the subscription service.
They'd be
That's not
absolutely
going to
mad
happen.
to do it. They don't need to do that. That'd be craziness.
I mean, he said we are not going to go down the road of putting new release titles into a subscription model. These games cost many millions of dollars, well over 100 million to develop. We just don't see that as sustainable. And
P.S. We think Microsoft are pissing money at the moment.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah,
but also Microsoft make way more money, so
yeah.
There was that quote from Phil Spencer, wasn't there, that the Game Pass in its current form.
I think that's a news
sustainable.
story, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm just coming to that. In fact, we can skip to that. So yeah,
because he said this months ago. He said this months ago. We reported on it then,
wasn't it? Yeah. His phrasing was that it is working out financially or something. Was the way.
Yeah, and I just think how, how. I don't.
Anyway,
how.
So Phil Spencer spoke with The Verge really recently about all of this, and he said that in the beginning, the subscription service. The service originally paid studios based on usage of their game. That's apparently how it worked. But they've now changed this so that there's different deals which he describes as being all over the place. And he said that sounds unmanaged.
Yeah, it does. It certainly does.
The way he describes it is it's all over. It's like he doesn't know what's happening.
Yeah, he says
over the shop.
So he said that sounds unmanaged, but it's really based on the developer's needs. He said a smaller to mid-sized developer might be starting a game and say, hey, we're willing to put this in Game Pass on our launch day if you guys will give us X dollars more. And it says we'll create a floor for them in terms of success of their game. They know they're going to get this return. And then he says, so in some cases, Microsoft have paid full production costs for a game's development, but then still allowing developers to generate other revenue through other platforms. So they've said, okay, we'll pay for this, but you can still release it on PlayStation, Steam, and Switch or whatever. Then he says, for them, they've protected themselves from any downside risk. The game is going to get made. They have all the retail upside. We have the opportunity for day and date. That would be a flat fee payment to a developer. But then he also says that, going forward, they're going to have to do something about this because as he says, it's all over the place. Basically,
it must be tough.
PC and there's just
in terms of
Post-it notes all over the monitor and shit.
Just in terms of the time it must take for the negotiations and making sure the boxes are ticked. It's if every game is essentially getting a bespoke little Game Pass contract, that's got to be a logistical nightmare, hasn't it? So I guess they are presumably thinking about just having more sort of pre-packaged deals. Don't know. It's interesting though.
But this is why it does feel to me. It feels like Game Pass for Microsoft it's a loss leader thing, isn't it? It's just they're throwing as much money as they can at this to make sure it sticks.
It can't be a loss leader thing.
Yeah,
well, no,
because the whole loss leader strategy means you're paying for stuff elsewhere. What else are you paying for if you're just an avid Game Pass user? Do you know what I mean?
Well, no, because you'll be paying for DLC and stuff like that, won't you? And you'll you're paying for the hardware and you're paying the subscription.
And losing money on the hardware,
but that's a lot of DLC that they've got to sell.
But the whole point is to get as many people into this service as possible. I'm convinced, and then jack the price up later. That's what's going to happen.
Well, or not just jack the price up, but just stop the offers.
Yeah, just not.
I mean,
put
I've
as
said that on
many
this show
new
before.
games on it.
I'm fully paid up now until like June 2022. If in June 2022 there aren't any more offers, then I probably will end up just keep paying it because I love using it, and especially after a couple of years of using it every day or every week. So
there you go. So it's
by
worked.
that time, I probably will end up spending £8 a month, or actually no, I guess is it 10 or 15, isn't it? With
it's 10, isn't it?
With like Ultimate. So yeah, I probably will end up paying that because I'll be so used to it. Even having not paid that much every month, playing it every day, I'm like, yeah, go on, I'll pay 10. It's well worth it. That's what I want to do.
They do need to. But I mean, if we're saying right, so over the next year, maybe 2 years, a lot of avid Xbox gamers, they're going to be coming to the end of that sort of that deal that they were doing. They really need to get some big games out on it.
Like they will, don't
this year and 2021.
I mean, that's why they bought Bethesda, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
so
I know,
that
but we're talking 2021. Yeah, but when's Bethesda's next big game coming out?
I mean,
and not the one that they're putting on PlayStation as an exclusive. Do you know what I mean? It's
no, definitely there'll be stuff will come out from Bethesda by the end of next year. Definitely.
What do you reckon?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what they've got coming, but you can't say. But there's no way that Bethesda are going to release nothing next year. It's impossible.
No, they've. Okay. All right. Fine. Well, let's see what happens. I mean, but they need to be quick. They need to be quick and get games out on that platform, because how long can you go without having a big exclusive to Series X?
They'll have new Forzas. They'll have the games that come out from their studios.
That was interesting. Did you see that story in the week that there's a new Forza Horizon
also in the news?
Also
in the news. Shall we
move to that story?
Are you doing this on purpose? Oh.
No, I'm not. I'm genuinely not. Go on.
Yeah, so I mean, Forza Horizon 5 might be coming sooner than we think, because this came from GameBeat's Jeff Grubb. He said we might get the next Forza Horizon game first, even though Playground Games have not confirmed that it's in development or anything yet. So he said we saw Forza Motorsport get teased a few months ago. I think we might get the next Forza Horizon game first, and I think that might be coming this coming year. And he says they're in a weird situation where, for some reason, Playground says it does seem like they may be ready to go first. I think I know the setting, but I'm going to let them announce it. So
that's the line that I hated when I read that. Who's Jeff Grubb? Do we know him?
Yeah, I've known him because he's done loads of great GamesBeat stuff. He's currently embroidered in a massive battle with Dan Riker over his Astro's Playroom time trials.
Right,
which has been amazing to see.
Just that line. I think I know where it's set, but I'll let them announce it. It made me throw up onto my keyboard. That
he's had loads of scoops over the last few months and probably a couple of years at this point. But
I'll let them announce it. Oh, shut up! I don't know that rubbed me up the wrong way, that one. But it still seems quite like there's not been a major long time since Horizon 4. When was that? Was that 2019?
18.
It was
18, wasn't it?
I thought it was 2019.
2018.
Yeah.
Okay, so 3 years. Yeah, no, that's not bad then. I mean, who cares? I'd be up for a new Forza Horizon game.
I'd rather see a new Forza Horizon than a Motorsport, honestly, because I much prefer that series.
Yeah, so do I. I'm sure there'll be people disappointed because Motorsport was loved before the last one. So, what was it? 5 really upset fans of the series. So let's see what they do with 6.
It feels like I thought you were saying there was 5 really upset fans of the series.
What do you mean?
As in, there's hardly any of them.
Yeah,
thought you were having a dig.
Oh right, okay. But no, because they were pushing microtransactions into it, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like they don't really need to do that for the next Motorsport. Maybe not.
Well,
I don't know.
They probably should, because that's the way they can make money. It'll be free on the service. So
I don't think they should, because
microtransactions that people can spend money on, and that's how they make money.
Yeah, but they tried that last time and it failed miserably. So I don't think they should do that next time. But let's see. I mean, I'm at the moment a new Horizon game comes out, I'm there day one. Can't wait.
But in terms of lack of exclusives on Game Pass, the next couple of years we'll have loads because they bought all those studios, and we'll hopefully start seeing some of the stuff from them.
Hopefully, but then you've got to remember that development at the moment is so shaky. Like, it really is. And you look at the games that have come out towards the end of this year, and there's so many buggy, weird shit.
But I think that's for the case of games out this year. I know, I can see why that would be the case, but for games which are further out, I think it'll be less of an issue.
Yeah, it's going to stabilize.
Why is that?
Because they would have got used to new workflows at home or whatever they do, whereas people that have spent 2 or 3 years working in a studio and maybe they can't, and everything's having to change and work from home.
But they've still had to go through a major part of their development while going through this transition period. It's huge.
Yeah, but we don't know. Loads of these games that we're anticipating haven't been announced yet, let alone a release date. So we're not going to know whether this has really truly affected them. But for games like this year, where they were all ready to go, or they're entering the final few months and they know exactly where the landing is, and it's all gets taken away from them and changed. That's where we're going to see the biggest issues, and that's why we have seen those buggy games and delayed games.
I don't think you can get away from the fact that this has affected everyone. Well, regardless of where you are in the development program, this is going to affect everyone, and that may not necessarily be reflected in the final product, but it will certainly reflect on when the final product is out. 100%. I guarantee games that we don't even know exist have been delayed. It's
definitely, 100%.
It's crazy, and you got to remember as well that we ain't getting back into our offices at the earliest until the summer. You know what I mean? We've still got a long way to go before we're back. It's crazy. We're back. I'm in the development scene. I'm not. I'm also talking about my own office, but it's oh man, it's been a crazy year, and I think the games that have come out at the end of the year really reflect how hard it is to create a game in a global pandemic. Personally, I mean, it's a miracle they're even out. But goddamn, some of the stuff that I've played, it's like you look at it, it hasn't got that shine that games usually have. It's been pretty weird.
Okay. Next story is that Microsoft have acknowledged Xbox Series X and S performance issues. So what this is obviously this all goes back to Digital Foundry, who have been doing analysis of games like Devil May Cry 5, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and Dirt 5, and they've been showing the comparisons between the Xbox and the PS5. And what it is that Microsoft have released a statement saying that they're going to resolve the issues. They say, we are aware of performance issues in a handful of optimized titles on Xbox X and S, and are actively working with our partners to identify and resolve the issues to ensure an optimum experience. As we begin a new console generation, our partners are just now scratching the surface of what next-gen consoles can do, and minor bug fixes are expected as they learn how to take full advantage of our new platform. We're eager to continue working with developers to further explore the capabilities of the Xbox Series X and S in the future. So what this is The Verge have said that Microsoft lagged behind with Sony in terms of pre-launch, in terms of developer support, and that PS5 dev kits were made available long before the Series X ones were available, and that this is really the reason. It's basically just stuff hasn't had as long to be optimized, and they haven't had long to get to grips with the new consoles. And that's
fine, but if that's the case, that is a terrible, terrible fuck up. You can't. Your big advertising push can't be the most powerful console, and then the first games that come out of it run better on the other one. That's bad, man. That is bad for Microsoft.
Well, this is because we were saying about the Cyberpunk stuff. It's so surreal that they're having to put so much work into getting it working on the older consoles, even though it would it will run better on the new ones. But they've had access to those new ones so late that they've not even been able to start the work on getting the game running on the new ones, right? So, and it just seems so backwards, doesn't it? Obviously, we're all sort of looking at Cyberpunk and being just bin the old ones off, just do it on the new ones, and it's just it's just a fascinating predicament. Yeah, no, it's obviously, and that's us being that's a privileged position to be in. It's just fascinating that they're stuck desperately trying to get the version working on the older consoles when the new ones are here. They just didn't have access to it until relatively recently, I guess.
Oh, God damn. I mean, yeah. If that was a decision that they made to hold back,
I don't think they'll have had much choice.
I can't see a decision. They're probably just constantly trying to But maybe they didn't know the final spec until so late in the day. And
Exactly.
Yeah, but Sony managed to do it.
That's what's so odd about this, isn't it? Like, because this has genuinely really surprised me, because I think maybe because Microsoft's messaging, I thought, has been really good. Like, across the whole of the pre-launch, we knew so much about these machines, like over the last sort of couple of months and everything, that it kind of felt like they had everything worked out, and you just assumed everything is kind of fine. Whereas Sony said nothing, like pretty much. We heard very little. It felt like they weren't ready at all for anything, and then it seems like maybe it's the opposite, and that's just very strange. That it's worked out.
That's what really surprised me about the Halo Infinite demo.
Yeah,
because it really did feel like Microsoft had something going, and that they were really putting together something. They just had so much direction, and then they showed that demo, and it was like, what? And you're hearing stuff like this, and you just go, wow.
But then it's weird because
they've spent the last year talking a really good game, like Microsoft have. Like they've really done a very good job at that, and it's just maybe it hasn't actually worked out quite as we thought it may would.
It's just strange, like, because I was reading, I've mentioned it before, there's an issue of Edge, I'm sure it was like early this year, they had a preview of The Ascent, which is a game coming to the Xbox, and it was shown at one of the the showcase things. It's like a twin stick sort of futuristic shooter stroke RPG thing. Oh, it looks really cool. But the interview with the developers, and they were like, we were approached by Microsoft and they gave us the kits, and they've, it's not been easy, but they've been really supportive and they've been helping us get the port done. So, and as I say, I'm pretty sure that was early this year. I mean, granted, it's a relatively small game, it's a relatively small studio, but if the help was in, but then maybe they were a one-off. Maybe not every studio's had the same access and the same help. I don't know. Interesting.
There might have also been sort of different levels of dev kit. Like here's this version of dev kit. It's still not full power, but it's most of the way there.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how they address this, how quickly, and the problems that we have experienced on these new consoles, with the quick resume and stuff like that, whether they get all that stuff ironed out quickly because they need to. They need to.
It'll be fine. They will.
Fingers crossed.
It will be fine.
Yeah.
Anyway,
sorry, I've just checked. It was July, that issue, where that interview was. So not that far back, actually.
Okay. Epic adding a subscription service to Fortnite. I thought this already existed.
I thought that was basically what the Battle Pass was, but
yeah.
No,
that's not a subscription. That's like a one-off payment, isn't it?
But isn't that like per season?
Yeah, but a subscription implies like a constant
well, that's what I'm saying. So the Battle Pass, if you want to keep up to date, you buy the Battle Pass every season. Therefore, it's essentially, like, I know you're not tied into it, but it's essentially a regular thing that you pretty much need to pay for if you want to, like, if you're playing seriously, right?
Yeah,
but you're not tied into this either. Like, you can cancel any time.
Yeah.
Either way,
anyway,
it does sound very similar.
What is it?
What this is launching on December the 2nd with the 5th season. Fortnite's 5th season in Fortnite's 2nd chapter. So you purchase what's called the Fortnite Crew subscription it's like $9.99 or $11.99, and it includes like a battle pass for the full season, 1,000 V-Bucks to spend each month, and I mean you can purchase these separately, obviously, but then it turns out this obviously works out cheaper if you do that. But you also get other exclusive content, including an outfit bundle each month that you'll only get if you get the subscription. So yeah, that's what that's about.
Cool.
How's this different to anything else they've done? I'm confused.
I don't know. It doesn't seem different to me, but I thought I'd better add it because if I didn't, Matt would get annoyed because it's like Fortnite.
Well, yeah, I mean, up to now you just buy a Battle Pass, but also with Battle Pass, and you can basically buy them using the V-Bucks you've earned in-game the previous season. Those seasons will last like two or so months, like ages, really. But this is every single month. You're paying a $10 or $12. You get the 1,000 V-Bucks anyway as part of this. So I don't know. It's just the thing is, in month 2, when you've already still got the Battle Pass for the season anyway, you just get the clothing and the V-Bucks.
Is this like when we were like 8 and we heard our parents trying to talk about gaming? Is this what it sounds like? It sounds like a bunch of old men trying to talk about Fortnite. Maybe we should move on.
Okay, so Square Enix have committed to permanent work from home option for staff. So what this is they've said. Hang on, let me just get the quote here. It says okay. Sorry, this is like really badly written. It's it's really difficult.
The news goblin.
The story from Eurogamer.net is badly written, James says.
Can we get some jingles made so that when he's doing this, he can hit a button and it just goes, the news goblin.
News goblin.
I'd love that. Can we get that arranged?
Anyway, so what they've done is they've established permanent and core program for working at home, which will start from the 1st of December. And they said, in doing so, the company hopes not only to create a flexible and diverse working environment, but also to further bolster productivity and help employees achieve the optimal work-life balance. It says the additional options this program creates will also enable the company to recruit more diverse human resources, as well as to establish an organisation capable of adapting to unexpected developments such as disasters and changes in employment models.
So I love that. I love that. It allows the company to recruit more diverse human resources. You can just call them people, guys.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you know what this makes me feel like? Read that last little bit again, James.
Okay. What the additional options bit? Yeah.
The last little bit about disasters and stuff like that.
Okay. The additional options this program creates will also enable the company to recruit more diverse human resources, as well as to establish an organisation capable of adapting to unexpected developments, such as disasters and changes in employment models.
That's it. That's what makes the alarm bells ring, Sean. Because that means we want to put a workstation in your home so when the shit hits the fan at 3 a.m, we can call you up and tell you to turn your PC on. Like, that's instantly where my brain goes.
I can assure you that happens anyway. And was happening well before.
At least I don't have to make the trip in. But like, I work from home, and I have done since March. I went in briefly back into the office over the summer, but I'm back working from home again, and I will be for the foreseeable future, probably until this pandemic ends. Fingers crossed. And it's kind of messed up. Like, I hate it. To start with, like, I hate it. I just want to be in the office, and I know not everyone feels like that, but that's how I work best. I don't like sitting in my front room and working away. But I have found myself just working way later into the night because it's just easier to just sit at your desk and work.
Yeah, it turns your home into the office, so you never kind of fully feel like you can switch off.
Yeah, you never fully check out.
To be fair, my boss, we had a big meeting recently, and my boss turned around and said, look, we are worried about the whole he did read an article about whether you're working from home or living at work, and they're aware of that, and they want to get us all back into the office. But it doesn't stop the brain. Like, it's harder to switch off, definitely.
Yeah.
So all these companies like announcing we might just work from home all the time, guys. I just think, why? Why are you so happy to do that? There must be a reason.
It's productivity.
It's just like, some people just massively prefer it.
Like, according to this, like, Square Enix conducted internal polls and found that 80% of its workforce had a positive view of working from home, and that it expects that 80% of its workforce will be home-based in December.
Yeah. Because they can spend, they're not spending money on travel, not spending money on coffees and lunch here and there.
Which, especially if you're based in London, is fucking massive. Not having to spend on transport and stuff.
Yeah.
Huge.
It is. That's fair enough. Okay. Maybe I'm being a little bit too selfish there, but.
Obviously, the wider implication is actually, so say your office is in London and now, your company's fully able to support remote working, then you don't even necessarily need to be in London anymore. Which is like a huge barrier for certainly in like games media rather than not necessarily development or publishing, but like most of the jobs are in Bath or London, and that's a huge barrier for a lot of people.
It is.
So yeah, it's interesting. As you say, I'm sort of with Dave. I think there's a lot of perks working from home, and again, speaking from a privileged position, like I don't need to work from home for any particular reason. There are things about it I really like. There's a lot that I don't. I'm definitely less productive, I think, working from home. And yet, as you say, there's that element of like not being able to fully check out either.
Well, there's that,
varies,
and I think the main thing for me is because, and I imagine the games development would be quite similar, but maybe not. If I come across a problem, or if someone comes across a problem in my office, you all just gather around a table and go, right, how are we going to sort this out? And you've got 4 or 5 heads all looking down, sketching things out, having a look, trying to sort it out, and you come up with a solution within half an hour and boom, you're done. Now it's just like, you can't do it over Zoom.
No.
You can't do it via email because it drags on for 2 or 3 days when it would have been half an hour.
Or even if you do, you feel like you've
gone.
really sort of interrupted people, don't you? Because when you're all in the office, you can look around and get a sense of like, oh, hang on, they're busy, I won't bother them, or whatever. Whereas, if you just do it via Zoom or Teams or whatever, like I have no idea what they're up to. It might not even be work related. They might have just gone to the toilet, or they might be, they might have a kid at home and they might be dealing with that or whatever. And you're just like, oi, help me solve this. I'm like, oh, fuck off.
I know. I hate it. I mean, okay, but I am being very selfish when it comes to this sort of thing. If there are people that much prefer working from home, and
and it's massively enabling for a lot of people as well. So
yeah, for sure. So I mean, good if they've done that. If it's optional and they've done the company survey and everything, then yeah, crack on.
I mean,
like I'm giving them permission.
Yeah, it's good.
Microsoft have done the same thing as well. Like they're adding. They've said that like they consider part-time remote work as like a standard now. Like you can. This is a way that you can do this.
I think a huge percentage of businesses are going to do this. It's just the way it's going to be, and this whole thing is kickstarted, hasn't it?
Yep.
And it's going to really upset a lot of landlords as well.
It is. It really is.
It's going to really upset me, man. I love just going into the office and sitting down at my desk and...
Oh, you fucking drone.
Yeah.
Yep, I love it, mate. I love the corporate dollar. Go on. Okay, next.
Because you love ironing as well, don't you?
I love being monitored, Sean.
You love being monitored. You love ironing. You love... Yeah, just... Weird.
Yeah.
Okay, last story is that Super Nintendo World is now opening in February next year.
Oh my god! Have you seen the pictures of it?
So good.
That really does. It just looks. It looks amazing. When you look at the pictures of it, it just looks like this beautiful oasis in the middle of like nowhere.
Well,
it's instantly recognisable.
Yeah, and like if someone had said, a year ago or whatever, like, oh, visualize Mario but in real life, you think, well, yeah, I can basically picture that. Like, what's the big deal? And yet, seeing the pictures of it, fuck me, God,
yeah, it's good. It's killing me though. Can they not just add it to Chesson? Just take the same thing, just whack it there, so that I don't have to go too far. Because I'd be up for that.
Yeah. So we were going to go to this, and because we were going to go to this summer because it was supposed to be happening. Like we were already going because we were going to China, obviously, because we were going to visit like family, and then we were thinking, okay, maybe we can go over there and we can go to it, and then COVID, whole thing cancelled. It's very disappointing. Asher was upset.
But
well, I just if this is a success, it's the sort of thing that they just replicate everywhere, right?
Yeah,
I know it's tied to another theme park, but there's nothing
Universal
stopping
Studios. Obviously, there isn't one over here. It's only like America anyway. So,
but there is a US one coming as well, though, right? They are doing that, I think.
I'm sure they are.
Yeah, I'd heard that they're building it in the US as well, which makes total sense. In fact, actually, it's really funny because my mother-in-law was talking about Christmas presents and everything, and I remember on this show about 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, I said how hard it was to just go out and buy Mario stuff. And this was during the Wii U period. And I was saying, you're really struggling to just go out and buy something with Mario's face on it, But apparently, these days, not a problem. Like, it is dead easy. And some of the presents that I've seen, it's like, where did you even get that?
Zavvi.com,
pretty much every shop.
They do loads of Nintendo merch.
No, I mean, literally in supermarkets and stuff like that. Mario's faces is all over the place. And that is literally down to the Nintendo Switch. Like, it's mad. It's mad how much that stuff has cropped up, which is great because it's really cheap and it makes my son very, very happy. So it's good. Right, okay, we done?
Yeah, I guess we are.
I guess we are. What have you been playing? Who wants to go first? Let's see who puts themselves forward this week.
I'll go if you want.
I'll go first.
For fuck's sake. Go on.
Well, it's all the more reason to get out of the way. A couple of weird ones for me this week. I was tweeting about this yesterday. Obviously, a lot of pressure on, not long until the Game of the Year show, because there's a lot of things I really want to get played, make sure, whether or not I'm going to nominate them, it's not the point. I think it's, there's games that I think are definitely going to get nominated, and I really want to make sure I've got something to say about them. So I've gotten massively into Sea of Thieves.
What made you start playing that?
Two things.
Obviously, right, this is my time now.
Two things. Obviously, it's one of the 3 Series S and X enhanced games on Game Pass.
How is it? How is it enhanced?
I mean, I can't really remember what it was like prior, but I mean, it looks amazing. It's full 60 frames and what have you. I don't know if it looks better than it used to on the standard Xbox One. I imagine it does. But yeah, just looks and runs really nicely. It's such a weird game even now. Like they've definitely fixed like pretty much all of the complaints we had back in the day, right? You know, it was just that there was so little to do. They've still not like all the unlocking stuff is all, as far as I can tell, it's pretty much all cosmetic still. Which I mean, I think I'm all right with, but it is just a bit weird to just be like, oh, I could put 50 hours into this and be no more capable than I was at hour 1. But I don't know. But they've added so much stuff to do, right? There's loads of different types of quests now. The very basic sort of get some treasure maps, go to the islands, find the X's, on the map and dig up some treasure and take it back without getting blown up by other ships and sell the treasure. That's all still in there. But there's all these there's more sort of story-based things. There's these tall tales that you can pick up and they're like actual little campaigns that you sort of start and then you can sort of dip out and then resume them later on and stuff. Not got into those yet. But there's this whole I can't remember what it's called. There's like all these different factions that you can rank up, right? One of them being the Bilge Rats, and they're like a series of, so that'd be like a little chain of quests, right? Not necessarily story based like the Tall Tale stuff, but it's like a bit more involved than just sort of constantly like, right, take one quest, go find a treasure chest, come back. It'll be like there'll be a series of islands you go between, you picking up clues, and it's like, right, now head to this island, and then as and this is all sort of PvE stuff. So you're fighting loads of these skeletons. Sometimes there's special ones that drop skulls that you can sell for cash, and but then sometimes you'll be sort of between 2 islands and then it'll start playing like creepy music, and you're like, oh, what's this? What's going on? And then just a fucking skeleton ship will just out of the water next to you. And it's like, fuck! And it's absolutely terrifying, but also really fun. And yeah, so I've like been playing it with friend of the show Chris Spann quite a bit. It's still perfectly viable if you just have the smallest boat and to just play with 2 people. But I've been playing a lot of it on my own, which is weird. Like you can tell
with randoms or just
on a boat
literally
on your own? Just on my own.
That sounds horrible.
It is kind of insane, right? It's really not meant to be played that way. Like you totally can. You've just got to be careful. Like you can't really do anything too involved because there's every chance that like a kraken will appear underneath your ship and stop you dead, and you can't get around quickly enough to blast it and get yourself free. And like all these tentacles appear out of the water and you have to shoot them with cannons and stuff, and you just can't do it. So that basically whatever treasure you've got on your boat, you've fucking lost it, right? So you have to sort of accept that those things might happen, which is still kind of shit. I feel like there should be...
Have you tried to make friends with someone that has just found you on the ship on your own?
Well, no. And this has been another thing that's been weird, is like getting into situations like that with other players and not really knowing what I'm doing and then coming off as rude, right? So we were on this one island and there was another crew there, and they were just chasing us around, and they kept just spamming a voice message or text message that just said like, let's form an alliance. And we were just like, well, we don't know what that, I don't know how to do that. I don't know why we would do it, but I'm sure there's no, like, they obviously don't mean any harm, right?
You found the only nice people on the internet.
I know.
You fucked them off.
Well, this is it. So, so they're sort of following us around, going, let's form an alliance. Just, these text messages just like getting spammed at the top of the screen. And then they just like start pulling guns out and pointing them at us. And they're still going, let's form an alliance, come on. And they're jumping on our boat, and they're like, we'd carried a load of treasure to like the shore, right? And we were going to load it all onto the boat. And one of them like got onto the boat and started using, there's like a harpoon at the front of the boat. And it's like just like shooting all the crates, bringing them onto the boat for us. And we're like, oh, this is nice. They're helping. No, you're laughing. They actually were at this point.
I like these guys.
And then we got on the boat and we tried to sail off, and then they start murdering us, right?
Yes.
Yeah, right, obviously. And you think, right, dickheads, of course. What else did we expect?
I think heroes.
But then reading up on it, the way it works is you can form an alliance with another crew, and then for the rest of that session, whatever you cash in, like whatever rewards you cash in, they get like a bonus, but it's completely extra to whatever. So say you've got a chest that's worth $1,000, you still get $1,000, but they get 500 gold as well, right? So it costs you nothing. So clearly what these guys were doing was just like, oh, well, if you're here getting treasure, like form an alliance with us. Like, it's literally, it's no skin off your nose, and we'll get a little kickback from it. So for us to then be like, oh, great, they've loaded up our boat and we'll just fuck off now, probably seemed like a dick move from us.
Probably.
But do you know what I mean? So,
but probably.
But all of this just seems like, this is all just completely unknown to us. So I keep like having sessions on it and just be like, well, what the fuck happened there? What was I supposed to do in this situation or that? And then reading up and going, right, okay. So...
Oh, right.
Yeah, like Sean Bell going to a banquet.
Yeah, I'm the villain.
Sean Bell goes to a banquet, like meeting someone really important, and then putting their hand out to shake your hand, and you just staring at it, just going, "I don't know what you want from me, mate," and
I don't know
looking
what
off.
the etiquette is here. Sorry, pal. And then apparently I'm the arsehole. So yeah, it's really good. Like I'm really enjoying it. It's weird how little it does to explain any of the stuff that's been added, right? There's an option, there's like a maiden voyage option on the title screen, which it's like, oh, this will show you the ropes of, how to play the game. And I'm sort of looking at it thinking, yeah, but I know how to sail a boat. Like, if it's going to make me spend an hour like going through all the basic stuff that I do actually still remember, I don't want to do it, but I also have no clue how a lot of the new quest stuff works. Or there's newer social stuff.
So in that example, the game's like, look, we'll tell you how to play the game. Don't tell me how to play the game.
Yeah, don't tell me how to do the easy shit. Just tell me what's new.
Tutorials.
Yeah, so yeah, I do really like it.
Shall I teach you about the etiquette of this banquet?
Yeah.
No. What's a banquet?
I don't need telling how to. Yeah, I don't need telling how to dress up and get to the banquet. Really, I just need telling. What I'm supposed to do when someone holds their hand out for me to shake it. So yeah, it's just weird. It's really good. I really like it. It's just that it could do more to ease you back in if you're a lapsed player, so you're not necessarily a new one.
Hang on. It was just doing that, wasn't it? In the tutorial that you said no to.
And the people that were trying to help you.
The point is that tutorial exists.
Trying to help you. The game's trying to be like, I wish this game told me what to do.
No, but I know how to do the basic stuff, right? I know how the ship works and how to get around. And
don't get arsey with us. We're going with what you've said, and it sounds like you've ignored the tutorials, didn't know what to do, and was incredibly rude to people that were helping you out. Like, that's how it sounded.
No, you're not listening. I'm saying, I know there's a tutorial. Right. I'm saying, if like 90% of it is the stuff I already know, why should I have to sit through the whole thing just to find out about the 10% they've added since I last played?
I think to find out the 10% of the things they've added since you last played. I think that's the answer to that question.
But also, those people were helping you to understand the 10%.
I mean, they really weren't. They were being very aggressive. Anyway, Sea of Thieves. Like, honestly, I know that we'll never get time, but if we ever do another co-op stream, we should absolutely, it would be so good to play that again. And because I know everything now. So I can tell you how it all works.
What's that Reddit thing about? Am I the arsehole? This was a perfect
They kept saying they wanted to make an alliance, and I didn't know what it meant. And we tried to run off with all the gold, and then they just started killing us.
I let them load up our boat, and I sailed off.
Even though it cost me nothing.
Would have cost me nothing. The other game I've been playing.
How did that work out for you, that one, Sean?
What do you mean? What, talking about Sea of Thieves?
Yeah.
I think I came out pretty well, but as we've established, I don't really understand, social graces and stuff. So who knows? We'll let the listeners decide.
Oh dear, God.
So the other game I'm going to talk about very briefly is Star Citizen. This has been around for a while, and they've recently done. There's been like a free couple of weeks on it. It's a living in space in the future simulator, and I mean, I don't know, like, Matt, how much do you know about this? Because I know, obviously, as a space fan, but not necessarily a PC guy, is it?
Yeah,
come up on your radar?
All I know is that it's obviously taken in millions in crowdfunding and never hasn't really come out. And people buying like expensive ships, and the game still wasn't out.
Because you literally spend like,
and I never actually knew what sort of stage of development it was actually in.
Yeah, like you can literally spend like hundreds of pounds on ships in it, can't you? Like real life money for stuff in the game, and it's been, like I say, been development for ages, and it's just sort of fascinating because it makes something like so Elite Dangerous, for example, quite a serious space sim. This makes that look quite arcadey in comparison, and that's not a criticism. It's weird. Like like I played it for maybe, I don't know, an hour or two, right? And I didn't really do anything. So I'm like, what I'm about to say is not really any sort of criticism of the game itself, because I didn't play the game. I just sort of went for a walk in the future, and it was sort of unbelievable. Like from the first bit, like when you first load it up and you're like lying on your bed in this like hotel, right, on some other planet in space. And like immediately you get up and you just like, I say immediately, I had to check the controls to find out what the get up button was. More on that in a minute. You get up and you look around this little like hotel room and you're just like, fuck, this is stunning. Like it's all just so believable and so beautifully put together. And it's like, it's just weird how instantly it sells you on this like vision of the future, right? And you step out and you're in this hotel and you go to an elevator, you take an elevator down, and then you like, literally all I did, right, was I wandered to the train station, I got the train to a spaceship expo that was on, I bought a burrito from a stand, but it wouldn't let me eat it because I couldn't figure out how to take my helmet off. And
you just shoved it into your helmet.
Yeah, just mashed it against the glass.
That's an episode title.
But again, I'm just like walking around this expo and there's just these fucking massive spaceships just in this huge hall, and you can just go in and walk around them, and they're just these, like the Normandy in Mass Effect, for example. They're all like that.
Massive at the time, didn't it?
Exactly, and they're all like that. Like loads of them are like that. You can just walk around and be like, oh yeah, this is the bit where I would live if I bought this ship in this game, and like, and here's the med bay, and here's the the navigational section, and it like. And then I went into like, there's like a, they call the Commons, which is like this, essentially like a sort of big sort of futuristic shopping mall on this like weird ice planet. And there's like, and again, it's just this sort of weird, like believable vision of what things would look like, in that it's all so familiar. It's in fucking space. And there's just like burger joints and clothes shops and stuff. And you're just like, fuck, this is like, and it just looks beautiful. Like it's so well put together. And that's kind of it. And it's just weird how it's so focused on the strangest details. Like I spent like, an hour, 90 minutes on it and didn't really do anything. Like it was, there's like an instant action thing where you can just jump in and it's like, it's an FPS, or there's like a space, space combat, flying around ships, shooting each other or doing races or whatever. That stuff is there. I spent all this time just walking around and being like, this is absolutely stunning, and I have no idea what the game even is, right?
That's what people have been paying for, though, isn't it? That experience. And it's like people have been dropping like ridiculous amounts of money on something which, I mean, I've been following like a bit of this game on like Roll, like people talking about it. Yeah. And that's sort of, there's all that, some people think like the whole thing's a scam, just to like make money and all that kind of thing. And it's, whether there's ever actually going to be, whether it's ever going to be a finished product, and like also where does all the money come from for like the development of this as well?
It's almost like this bizarre passion project that just happens to have millions sunk into it, and it's fascinating. And again, so the burrito thing, right? It's funny, but whatever, who cares? But then I managed to like rent a spaceship, and then you have to like rent it, and then you go to like you're in this spaceport. You have to go to another control panel and be like, right, I want my ship, and it's like, okay, I'll be waiting for you in hangar 3. You go over to an elevator, open it, right, hangar 3, please. You go in, there's your ship. Managed to get in the ship, managed to turn it on and figure out how to take off and stuff. Couldn't figure out how to get them to open the hangar doors. So I was just flying around in this hangar, just being like, well, this is it then. Like, So there's stuff like that. That's
Sure,
so
bit in
were the other
in-between
players
is where
all
Jay
thinking
gets
you
on
were-
the motorbike.
Were all the other players thinking you were being a bit of a dick? Like,
yeah, just fucking bouncing around.
Once again.
Yeah, doesn't learn the fucking
It's the
etiquette,
same
has he?
guys
One
from Sea of
idiot.
Thieves. Like, you know what? This guy's a twat. Who's got Star Citizen? Yeah, let's load that up.
Is it like when you buy it? Is it like when you buy a car from a car dealer and then you go and pick it up? You get in the car and you instantly over rev it a little bit because you're not used to the clutch and that.
I mean,
Just like stall it on the forecourt.
smash it straight into the wall. But then, I mean, yeah. So, I mean, in terms of tutorials, you already know you're in trouble when you're installing this game, and it comes up with a thing saying like, "Oh, if you want to learn how to play, you can arrange for like another member of the community to give you a tour." And you're like, "What? That's your tutorial?" Like,
Sean,
Yeah.
do not register as a volunteer.
I think I might. I reckon I can show people the ropes. I think I know
Sean,
everything.
even if they'd have worked on a tutorial for this game, you would have
I
just
would have
skipped
fucking
it.
skipped it. Yeah.
What do you mean? What do you mean become a shit, mate? Fuck that.
Yeah. Do you want me to show you how to open the hangar doors? No.
Nah.
Do it
Boring.
myself, mate.
So like, there's so many things like that are sort of quite obtuse and sort of difficult, and you sort of think they could have just spent a minute making this. Like, just make the hangar door open by itself. Make it so that if I'm trying to eat a burrito, it takes my helmet off. Stuff like that, right? And yet, I went for a walk outside, and it's this planet. It's like minus 80 degrees, right? Helmet on, obviously. And you have a little wrist computer that you bring up, and it's the full screen interface, and it's got all your inventory and stuff on it. Because I was outside and it was cold, that was like shaking with my breath because I'm cold. Like, and you sort of think, why they've thought to do that, but not loads of like quality of life stuff that you would expect.
Oh, man, I'd love it if someone emailed in next week to say there's a button by the hangar door to open the hangar doors.
This
Like,
is
I'd
what
love
I'm
that.
hoping, though.
I'm hoping that somebody's going to write in about this because I'd love to know about this game. I'd love more information about
absolutely.
anybody
Like,
that's like playing it and enjoying it and is really into it or whatever. I'd
Is it on
love to know.
GeForce Now? Maybe you could play it.
I don't know.
Oh, that's a thought. I don't think it is. I don't think it's on any like
I
standard
don't think anything's
store.
on GeForce Now, is
It's
it?
not Stadia.
But no, I don't think it's on like Steam or anything. I think it's entirely
Stadia
its own like
exclusive.
its own self-contained thing. But no, like absolutely. If anyone's listening, and I am definitely getting loads of stuff wrong or misunderstanding things, I would love to hear more about it because it's, like I say, I didn't really do anything, but I was fascinated just walking around looking at stuff.
Well,
So there you go. Star Citizen, 10 out of 10.
Okay. Star Citizen 10 out of 10. Right, okay, is that your list?
That is my list.
Matt, let's get on to you. What you got?
So I haven't really played my new consoles this week, mostly because I've been fully
Fucking
focused
hell.
on
spent.
Hades.
How much have you spent? £900 on new consoles and you haven't touched them this week? Okay.
Well, I've turned them on to get updates and stuff. But no, I really want to play Miles Morales. But
Yeah.
I instead thought I would focus and get back into playing Hades.
Oh, fair dues.
That's totally understandable.
Yeah. I thought, well, I clearly need to play it more. I'd only played for one evening a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I need to play more. I need to have finished it or, seen the end or just escape once to have a well-rounded view on it before the Game of the Year discussion comes out. And I've basically been playing that every night I can. And it's amazing. I mean, I said it was amazing when I played it for that one night previously, but the more you play, the more story you discover.
Yes.
Just the more you see of the game, the more you understand systems. It's absolutely brilliant. I struggled for ages to kill Meg, who's the first main boss.
Mm-hmm.
Struggled for ages. And then eventually did it, and that was like a massive moment. It's like, wow, this is incredible. I'm in the next stage. Died loads, obviously. But then I was understanding the loop of unlocking or getting more keys to unlock more skills on the mirror and getting more gems to unlock the skills you get on the mirror, understanding more of the story, unlocking more of the weapons. And then eventually I unlocked the final weapon, or what I think is the final weapon up to now, which is the railgun.
Mm-hmm.
And then at this point, I'd already killed like Meg 3 or 4 times anyway, but I killed her again. Brilliant. And then I actually got to the next boss, which I killed first time with a gun. So I was absolutely over the moon. I got to the next section, which I think is Elysium.
Yep.
And I got to another boss, which I now find out is like a sub boss. But I got that, which I think is like a ball. I got that to like halfway down, and I died. But
and then it's off.
Yeah, but when I killed Hydra, which is the second boss, first time, that was probably like punch in the air. It was like a sort of the thing you get when you play like a Dark Souls or Sekiro when you kill bosses, and you have like a real elation, euphoria for understanding the systems and for killing it. And the fact I did it first time, I was really sweating. So this is great. I'm doing pretty well considering it's the first time I'm seeing this boss. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. I'm playing more and loving it, really.
I think thinking back on it, the most impressive thing it does, now, we know what roguelike games are like. You literally just do the same things over and over again. What I found most impressive about this is that even after 40 hours of play, it was still introducing brand new things, and still switching things up and taking me by surprise. It's so clever the way it does that. Like some of the unlocks to the combat. Have you got calls yet, Matt?
What are they?
I don't want to ruin it.
I don't know if I've got calls.
You'd know if you've unlocked them.
The one thing I did unlock in the last one was I had I'd already unlocked all the weapons in that section where Skelly is, but then because I collected 3 or 4 bits of blood from killing Meg, then I was informed, now you can what I think is add modifiers to the weapons.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
So
You
I've
can
got
upgrade
that.
the weapons. Yeah. So no, there's more stuff to discover. There's definitely more stuff to discover. I mean, there's whole gods you haven't met yet and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But it's
and yet and what's so great is that so Matt's had one good run. Like if you now had another 20 runs where you barely even got past Meg, that new stuff would still be trickling in. There would still be new bits of story. Things would still progress in other ways, even if so it never feels like a waste of time, which a lot of roguelikes do. Like if you just you have one great run and then a load of shiters and you just think, well, that's it, fuck it, what's the point? Whereas with this, there's always stuff pulling you through.
Yeah, at no point did I think, I'm just stuck in a loop now, because it never feels like a loop, because there's so much going on, there's so much
every loop, even if you die quickly, you're going to get extra story beats and you go back. It's always exciting to, you might be like,
totally find out what happened.
I got screwed it up, but I know wow, once I step out of that blood or whatever it is when you get to the room with everyone else, you're like, who am I going to speak to, what are they going to say, how's the story going to progress? I absolutely love that.
Yeah, man.
God, there's so much more for you to see as well. It's so exciting.
Yeah, I really just wanted to escape before the Gotti show, but
you'll
definitely try.
You'll do it.
I mean, I'm just going to say it.
As much as I really want to play Miles Morales and stuff, I'm basically just focus on this now until I escape, at least.
Dave knows what I'm going to say. God mode exists.
Yeah, I got a notification about that, but I don't know.
It's fine.
Stay strong. Stay true, Matt.
Why?
Because it's more satisfying.
No, it isn't.
How would you know?
Because I already found it incredibly fucking satisfying. It was amazing when I first got a first clip.
Dave?
Because I know that if you activate that, there'll be something in your back of your mind going,
I don't know. I mean, no,
you activated that.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to do it. And even if I did, I'll hate myself for the rest of my life. So no, I'm going to try to avoid
it. That's a prison you've built for yourself in your own head, Matt.
That is true.
Trust me, I don't want to be here. I don't want to have that prison, but that's just unfortunately who I am. I did see that. But what does that do exactly again? So was it like a...
So it gives you like...
Die, get a bit of a boost?
So it gives you like 20% damage resistance, and every time you die, that 20 goes up by 2.
Yeah, I mean, if I really struggle, then I'll do it. But I mean, every run is fun, and I was loving the railgun. That's where I've got furthest. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I've loved every weapon. What I'm basically doing is every loop...
I hope they adopt that as a tagline to the game. Hades, every run is fun. That just sounds perfect. Just whack that on the box. That's great.
I've been changing weapons every time just to switch to the weapon. It gives you 20% extra gems because I can't save them up to upgrade my skills and stuff.
Yeah, it's worth doing initially, especially.
Yeah. And I mean, I haven't done much in the way of upgrades in like the house at all. The most substantial one I did recently was I needed to get a crystal to bring someone back. I think they were imprisoned somehow.
Yes,
someone with a gondola, or a instrument of some sort. I think maybe anyway.
Gondola?
I once I killed.
Gondola's a boat.
Okay, well, I don't know Gondola's what I'm thinking about.
No, it's a liar.
What am I thinking
he
about?
uses.
He done half play that Gondola well, doesn't he?
Yeah. Anyway,
just-
I think
Wow.
that break with Hydra, and that's what gave me the crystal to complete that one particular mission. But so haven't we done much upgrading? Is that worth doing?
It's
because a lot of it's cosmetic.
Yeah, I think it does make it clear which of them have like actual gameplay or story effects,
really
but a
does.
lot of it is non.
No, I mean, it
I knew
literally
that crystal
has.
one was.
This is a cosmetic item next to stuff that does nothing. And the one that I was fascinated with was the fishing rod. Sean, did you buy that?
Oh yeah.
Because I unlocked it, and then I got to the place where you need to get to, and then I thought a nibble was a bite, so I missed it, and then I couldn't use it again. So I really want to know.
Yeah, so once you fuck it up in one instance, then that's you
you've got to do it
get
again,
to retry.
right?
Yeah.
So what like is it worth doing?
Oh god, yeah.
Okay, I'll have to do that. Okay, fine.
It won't initially be clear why, but yeah.
Oh, of course it won't. It's Hades. It's so funny how much of that you have to work out.
Yeah.
It's it's crazy. But okay. Well, is there a particular upgrade or particular god that you enjoy? You've enjoyed, Sean, Matt, James, Dave.
Oh, he's on again. What do you mean a particular god upgrade? Oh, no, as in the boons. Well, that's probably the bit I'm sort of weakest on because I get so many. I really just think about in like the moment, like, okay, which one will I prefer? I'm not really thinking about builds at this point.
That's totally normal.
Yeah,
that's totally normal. You will get to a point where you're specifically working on a build. You will get to that point.
I mean, the ones that I'm best at, the ones where like it gives you. I think the one where I did the best at was I got a couple of boons where when I dash, it shoots lightning. And that was awesome, and I got like a few of them. Mm-hmm. I mean, what I'm doing is I'm playing it, and then next to me I've got like a couple of like cheat sheets that show me, okay, this icon means that. So when I see the doors, I'm like, okay, which one? Yeah, I kind of want that one, so I go. But in terms of the actual boons themselves, there's so many.
So you'll use a cheat sheet.
Kind of like feeling my way through it and just choosing what I think is right at the moment, rather than having a build.
You'll use a cheat sheet, but you won't use God mode.
Well, no, because the cheat sheet shows like a purple is this kind of boon.
It's just because they call it God mode. If it was called like Boost mode or something like that, it'd be fine.
Influencer mode.
Yeah.
It'd be all over it.
I don't think having a PDF showing like this icon means that is the same, is it?
Okay.
PDF.
I managed to work that stuff out myself, so maybe I got more satisfaction out of them.
Maybe.
Oh, he's turned it around.
Yeah, I'm absolutely loving it, and I just want to play more. And there's basically not a bad thing about that game. Mm-hmm. It's just it feels impeccably designed in pretty much every way. I love the voice acting, the writing, the way the story's unfolding with every time I appear, the new characters I'm meeting. The gameplay just feels perfect in so many ways.
It become a massive obsession in my life. It become a massive obsession to the point where when I was working, I was listening to the soundtrack on Spotify because I was obsessed with the whole thing, really. And to the point where I was like looking up the stories of the gods and researching all that stuff. And
I'm just going to check because I think I'm trying to remember how long I ended up spending on it.
Well, I've just loaded up Steam. I'm really annoyed. Klieg hasn't recorded my last week. It says I paid not half an hour in the last 2 weeks. So that's clearly not true.
Oh dear.
Really annoying.
Okay. All right. Okay. James, can you just double check that before we restart recording?
We'll have a look as well. 45 hours. 45 hours I've spent on it.
Yeah, I was about 42. I was about 42 hours, I think. It might have been more, you know. But yeah, I loved every moment of it. So good.
Yeah, I'm loving it. Okay. I really hope I can find, I can escape before a Game of the Year show.
Yeah, man.
I really hope it comes out on Game Pass with cross-platform save. I want to see that game in 4K, man.
Yeah, it's good.
That's what I want.
It looks so good on a PC. I love the art. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's the only disappointing thing I had with the Switch version is that it dropped frames here and there, and it looked rubbish on a television. Looks totally fine handheld.
Rubbish.
No, not rubbish, but noticeably, you know,
just a bit, just
the
less
resolution was
detail in there.
Yeah.
I played Super Mario Brothers 3 as well on Sunday.
Oh yeah, how'd that go?
But I'm probably gonna stop streaming it.
Really?
Why?
I'm just kind of. It's just not. It feels not a fun. I feel like I'm ruining my experience of the game by streaming it, by having people say, "Can't believe you don't know this," or "How do you know that mechanic?" or blah 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 blah. and it's just getting stressful and not
angry with
fun.
the chat
So
again.
I'm probably going to knock on the head and just not bother with streaming for a bit. I think.
I guarantee you won't play that game.
Well,
that's my prediction.
I want to play more because it's clear it's in game, but streaming, I just don't want to. I don't think I want to stream anymore.
Here's my analysis, Matt. I think you really want to play what is it, that Souls game?
Demon Souls.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not doing that either now.
Okay.
Really?
I've had enough people say, yeah, don't stream that.
Charming.
Yeah.
It's
That's unbelievable, isn't it?
What are you going to stream next then? Do you know?
I'm probably just not going to bother for a bit. I think
Fair
I'm
enough.
just going to
Oh my
stop
God.
streaming.
Has the chat got to you? Is that it? What's happened?
Yeah, just a bit.
Really?
It's kind of ruining my experience of games. Like, why am I doing this to myself? So yeah, I will probably just not stream. I mean, maybe I'll change my mind this time. Maybe by Sunday I would have changed my mind. But the last 2 streams, I'm like, I don't think I haven't got it in me anymore. I go into it psyched and excited to play, and then after like a bit, I'm like, this isn't fun for them. It's not fun for me. So
Yeah, have a
I mean,
break.
you say that.
You've streamed every Sunday for God knows how long. Have a little break. You'll be back. You'll be back.
Yeah, you're
I'm
allowed
sure
a
we'll be
break.
back at some point. Yeah.
And to be clear, like, you do get more viewers than any of the rest of us.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're not enjoying it, you're not enjoying. I'm not saying like, oh well, hang on, you're doing well, so you should carry on even if you hate it. I just like if you're telling yourself that people aren't enjoying watching it, that's clearly not true.
Well, the last year I felt a bit like that, but no, yeah, I mean, but I enjoyed playing Super Mario, but I was just sucking at it, and I was like, this isn't fun for anyone. So,
Right, nice one, nice one, listeners. Look at what you've done to me, boy.
but what I will say about Super Mario Bros. 3 is that it's the best Mario I played out of them first 2. It feels like much more the Mario games I'm familiar with a lot of new ideas all the time, and it's
such a leap forward.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't also never played that style of Mario game with the map and stuff. I first thought, this is cool and weird and different compared to the first 2. But yeah, no, I was enjoying it. I was just struggling, and I think I just wasn't in the best place. But
Fair enough, man.
yeah, but that's
I reckon
many
take a few
believers.
weeks out, and then you'll get Demon Souls, and then that'll be it. You'll be back big time. Be back.
Yeah, I think
I
so.
do really
Fine.
want to play that. I really desperately want to play that, but we'll see.
You'll want to do that on stream. I almost guarantee
Yeah,
it.
Yeah,
you really should play it on
Or
stream, Matt.
audience say no.
It'd be
So-
good. It'd be really good.
Yeah, it will be good. Oh God!
thinking about
Why?
that.
What have I said? What's my mantra?
Never listen to chat.
There we go. Just never listen to them. Just you do what you want to do. They can turn off if they want to turn off. Right, is that it from you, Matt?
That is it. Yeah, it's mostly
I've
AD.
got a few quick ones to talk about. Firstly, probably the game I've played the most this week is Tetris Effect Connect. Is that what it's called?
Connected.
Yeah, Connected. That's the one. I thought it was like motion controls and stuff.
You are the block.
Yeah, you have to get into the shape of a Tetris block that you want
Bring on
next.
the shapes.
Isn't that is a game, isn't it? It's a PSVR game. We have to do that.
Yeah. What's that called? Super Hypercube?
Oh yeah.
Well, this. I mean, we all know Tetris Effect is a good game. Was the effects mode the one where you play very specific rule set based Tetris stuff? Did the original game have that sort of random one? I can't remember what it's called. It's something like called.
I don't know.
I don't know, but you have to hit 150 lines, but it keeps throwing in these like really weird rules. So like every now and then it will just go upside down, which then moves left and right around. That's really confusing.
Yeah.
It will throw massive blocks, like I'm talking like ridiculously big blocks, like that you've suddenly got to make space for. You can't use your backup blocks, or you can't see what the next block is. It does all these little modifiers at random, and then it gets faster and faster, and you've got to clear 150 lines. What a brilliant, fun game mode that is. I streamed some of it because I was enjoying it so much. And it must have been crazy to watch because things just change constantly, and you're always reacting on the fly, and everything could go to shit in a second. People were saying it was like suddenly James Farley had taken the controls. I don't know what they mean by that, James. I think that was doing you the dirty there. But 1 minute I was like handling it. Yeah, 1 minute I was handling it, and then all of a sudden your screen just gets filled up with mistakes. And I've been playing sprint mode again. I've been really enjoying that. That's the one where you got 40 lines to clear as quick as you can. That's really good fun. And I'm just enjoying Tetris Effect again. It's a really good game. which is good, really, because there's nothing else to play on that fucking thing, right?
You didn't take Tetris Effect originally in PSVR, did you?
Yeah, I played it in VR.
Okay, cool. Because I haven't played this new one, but I was wondering how you compared it, but I wasn't sure if you had even played it in VR before. But I played Tetris Effect originally. But...
I remember because we talked about it, and you weren't that impressed by Tetris Effect.
Of course, yeah.
No, I no. By the VR, I stand by the fact that I didn't think the music was that amazing. The vast majority of the music is not amazing to me. I didn't get into it the same way as I did to the soundtrack to Res and stuff like that. But it's Tetris, and so it's good fun to play. With the VR stuff, I was never taken in by it. I'm quite happy with how it looks on the telly, and when it was like bits of it were 3D, and that kind of okay, fine. You're so focused on the board itself when you're playing Tetris that you're not really getting the full effect of what's going on around you. In my opinion, I know a lot of people like it, so it's just the way I saw it. But yeah, Tetris Effect is good, and it's on Game Pass. It's just you could just play it all over again. Highly recommended if you've not played that game. We've been smashing FIFA 21. Which is the most ridiculous thing to do ever, because we play pro clubs. We've mentioned it on the show before, but we play pro clubs, and that gets reset on Friday. We have to start our characters again, start our team again, with the next gen update. So it's a bit of a useless thing to do, but I have had some of my favourite gaming moments of all time on that thing this week. I'm not going to lie. I know it's bullshit. It's a terrible game. It doesn't reflect football in any way, shape or form. But when there's 4 or 5 of you playing pro clubs, I've been on my feet shouting at my telly when we scored a last minute winner with 10 men. I've been like head in hands moments when we've made a mistake and conceded a goal in the last minute. And I've just been laughing and laughing and laughing. I mean, when it doesn't feel like the game is totally screwing you, that's when you win. It always feels like it's screwing you when you're losing. It is just, there's nothing better. Like, really, really good fun. So I don't know what to say about that. Like, it's not like I can recommend the game because I know how bullshit it is. But at the same time, pretty much every night for the past week, me and my mates have got together on Xbox Live and we've been playing our Pro Club season. And the next day is filled with us sending videos of each other winding up each other up for the mistakes we made the night before. It's been good. It must be weird for you, James, because you're still in that group.
Yeah.
And you don't play it anymore. Is it just weird waking up to about 40 text messages slagging each other off? Or?
Just scroll through it and just like, oh, yeah, okay. That's
okay.
That is the best.
It's bizarre.
And then just...
It's, I mean... I can't wait for the next gen update, even though it's going to be new lighting.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what that looks like.
They usually look pretty good, right? When they skip a generation.
Every time I'm like, oh wow, the grass.
Yeah,
but I'm excited. I'm interested to know what to do in terms of loading and frame rates and stuff.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it?
If there's a huge update or not.
One thing that's been highlighted a lot. But when you're playing on these new consoles and you're playing an online game that is cross-generation play, you're not seeing any of the benefits of the loading times at all. Because, as I say, with Call of Duty, when you launch a game, all you're doing is seeing a menu that says waiting for other players. And all it's doing is waiting for people that have the old machines to catch up. Now, I think I'm right in thinking that there's no cross-generation play on the next-gen FIFA.
There's not.
So hopefully that means that the games are just going to load and you're not going to be waiting around and stuff, which might be a good thing, might be a bad thing, because I like to check my phone in those moments. But yeah, no, at least it means you get into games a lot quicker. So fingers crossed that all goes well. That comes out on Friday. Black Ops, still hammering that. I'm still really enjoying the multiplayer in Black Ops. There was an update in the week that introduced Nuketown, which is that famous crazy map where you're literally about you're no further than about 3 meters away from another player at the moment that you spawn. But it seems to be steadying out. I mentioned a few glitches last week, but it seems to be running a hell of a lot better. So hopefully they keep improving that stuff. But man, I can't get on board with the people that are like Modern Warfare is better. And I guess that's because I didn't play much Modern Warfare. But this just feels so much fun to play that when we're not playing FIFA, it's all I want to do is play some Black Ops. So yeah, still kind of addicted to that. And finally, I suppose, other than Tetris Effect, the game that I've put the most time into, that's a lie because FIFA I've put more time into, but I played quite a bit of Assassin's Creed Valhalla again. It's so strange, that game, man, because...
So sorry, just before getting back into that, have you not touched Watch Dogs?
No.
Is that dead now?
Is it dead? No, I can see myself going back to it when things get a bit quiet.
Okay.
I just, in its current form... I don't know, man. I'll get back into it. I'm sure I'll get back into it.
But there is no... The next gen version's out, isn't it?
No, I mean, I'm sure that there's some patches and stuff that will come in. It's not incredibly buggy, but the save thing needs to be sorted. When you complete a mission, it needs to save. That's standard. But I've just been enjoying other games more. So with Watch Dogs, it was a bit like, I'm booting this up again, getting over to a mission is going to be a pain in the arse. Doing the mission is always it feels like each mission you do in Watch Dogs takes way longer than it needs to.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm not.
I've seen that really cheap this week with it being sort of Cyber Monday and Black Friday. I've seen it like 30 something quid in Tesco. I'm like,
don't buy it, Matt.
There's there's nothing really even vaguely redeeming I've heard about it. I'm like, no, there's no point.
The redeeming thing is it's cool to walk around and drive around London, places that you know. That's the main enjoyment I've got out of it. Everything else, it just feels so clunky and unpolished. Really, it felt like it needed a lot more time in development. But I'll go back to it. I'm almost certain I will go back to it once I've kind of had my fill with Assassin's Creed and maybe when Black Ops falls off the face of a cliff for me, which I'm is inevitable.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I was wanting to ask, because you haven't talked about it recently.
No, I haven't been playing it, but Assassin's Creed I have, and it's as I say, a very strange one. There are moments in that game that feel so good. Some of the quests that I've been on, some of the scenery I've seen, it looks beautiful in places. Some of the stuff it does just feels great. There are times where it really feels like The Witcher. With extended missions that take you all over the place and then pull it all back together towards the end. Obviously nowhere near as good as the writing in that, but I think the writing is acceptable. But then there are so many weird things, and I don't know if this is an Assassin's Creed thing or if it's just for this game, but weird stuff like swinging an axe at a wall that a character is standing on and it counting as a hit. Or, the combat system is pretty bad. I said it was serviceable last week, and it is. But serviceable over a 50, 60-hour game is not good enough. It's just not good enough. It gets dull and repetitive. There's this weird thing where you go into a town and you've got to clear it out, but there are all moments to do stealth, and I can't see how you can do that because you're rushing in 40 men strong and absolutely caning everyone, and then all of a sudden there's a prompt next to a desk to blend in. You know what I mean? It just makes no sense to me. There's also I'll have to send you a clip. I did a mission the other day where you had to shoot away a platform from underneath someone's feet, and they just floated in the air for a little bit to complete the animation run and then fell down. And it's just like, why is all this stuff in there? I mean, Assassin's Creed games have always been notoriously buggy, right?
Yeah.
Or was that just Unity?
No, I think Unity was one of the worst, but they've always, a little bit of jank.
Yeah, there's a lot of jank here, which is only highlighted by the fact that the rest of the game looks just so damn good. You know what I mean? It really does look good in places. And to see all these weird glitches and characters glitching through each other and weird enemy AI where you can literally be smacking someone in the back with an axe about 3 or 4 times and they don't even notice you're there. It's bizarre stuff like that. But I'm now 9 hours in and don't really feel the need to stop yet. I can see me booting that up again this week and playing some more. So that's got to be a good sign. It's the longest I've lasted with a Assassin's Creed game, so it's doing something right. But not quite as good as the opening few hours sort of led me to believe, to be honest with you. And the biggest problem is the mission structure is it is asking me to do the same things a lot. Go into a town, kill everyone, loot all their stuff, and leave it. And it's like I had to do 3 of those missions in a row to progress the story. And it was kind of like, oh, come on now. This is getting a bit much. So we'll see. We'll see how long. It feels like there's a ticking time bomb just sitting in that game waiting for me to go, no, that's enough. I really can't see myself getting to the end of it. But
it's a shame when you get that feeling, because that was me with, what was the last big one? Probably Metal Gear Solid 5, where it was like, I'm still enjoying it, but there's just no way I'm finishing it.
It's only a matter of time.
Yeah,
totally. And that's pretty much been it. I'm sorry. It's been a very, I'm just playing the games that I'm playing at the moment. It feels like I want to move on to something else, but we got Cyberpunk coming up, and I'm certainly interested in trying next-gen Destiny and next-gen FIFA out. So
Cyberpunk's out soon, and I have zero buzz for it.
Yeah, you've mentioned this. What's that about? Because you love getting excited about things.
I hate it. I'm feeling nothing, and maybe that's a good thing.
Well, yeah, maybe.
I think it probably is.
You might end up liking it more than the rest of us because you're just going in with zero expectations. It's been very interesting. Yeah. Have you seen the previews and stuff?
No.
I kind of had the same feeling as you, Matt, because I've not watched any previews either, like on purpose, because I didn't really want to see anything. I was kind of excited for it, but I do think that it's probably going to launch in a state which is probably not going to be great, and that's a bit of a concern.
Yeah. But what game hasn't in this?
No, there's bad and there's bad, isn't there? Like,
I don't think it will be for people who have the new consoles. It's
maybe not the Series S.
The original PS4 I'd be more concerned about, because that's clearly where they're probably struggling with. But it's not like it's a multiplayer game where servers go down. I'm not too worried about it. I think it'll be fine.
What? I think it's still got
a mess on launch.
A lot of interlocking parts, though, hasn't it? I think it's still incredibly complex. But I don't know. It's just watching the previews and stuff on YouTube of people who've spent. I think most outlets got like 16 hours with it. And they were all like, well, not all of them, but a lot of them. It's just surprising that they weren't just like, oh my fucking God, this is amazing. They're all just like, it's great. And I'm really looking forward to seeing more of it. And the interface is quite bad. And this, apparently, I think it's the quest log especially is just a nightmare. And it just fills instantly and it's just impossible to navigate. And it's not clear what rewards are for doing certain things and stuff like that. So it's just interesting that, obviously, if you're doing a preview of it, you want to keep a lot of your observations to the actual review in a week. But it's just interesting that I've not seen a lot of breathless enthusiasm for it. I think it's safe to say it's going to have problems, but given the scope of it, I think we can all see that coming to an extent.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, games of that size and that complexity, I'm not surprised. I think because the length of the journey we've had from announcement to delays and previews, and now we're getting close to launch. It's just so long, and my hype's been up and down, and now I'm just I'm going in with no preconceived ideas. I'm sure in the week of launch the reviews will come out and they'll probably be, I imagine they'll be amazing. And then the hype will be rocketing up again. But right now I'm just like, it's coming out. I'm very sure I'll get it, unless for whatever reason the reviews say it's an absolute disaster. I'm not anticipating that really. And but yeah, I'm going in with just no hype, but we'll see what happens really. Which I think, as you said earlier in the week, Sean, that is a good thing.
Maybe it's just preview for fatigue. Like Matt said, it's been so long this has been going on, and we've been looking at videos and previews and all that kind of thing. It's like
it's sort of gone off the boil a bit, hasn't it? It's yeah. Because obviously it wasn't meant to take this long.
No Man's Sky or Sea of Thieves was like that as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. And obviously it was meant to be out.
Sean Murray zooming out on the map over and over again for 3 years.
But it is mad. It's coming out in a little over a week. It almost doesn't feel real.
You're accepting that now, are you, Matt?
Well,
it's definitely out. Definitely coming out.
Until it's in my hands, I still anticipate a last minute delay.
That's fair. That is fair.
It seems a little bit less likely now, but who knows?
Yeah, to answer your earlier question, James, you're getting the Xbox One version.
Great. Okay. Brilliant. So that's gonna run well. I'd imagine. Although it should be all right, shouldn't it? Because it will be.
Yeah, I think it should be all right because that console is more powerful than the Xbox One, so it just won't look as good.
But Dave, I looked today actually on the store because it just popped up and it was like 50 quid to buy Cyberpunk on Xbox, and I was thinking, okay, so what version am I getting if I buy that now?
You're getting a One X version.
Yeah,
I'm getting a One X version.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's 50 quid. I was like, I thought it'd be 60, but then it's not the next gen version, is it?
No, but the next gen version gets upgraded next year when it comes out.
Unspecified.
Well, it's 50 quid digitally.
Well,
okay, well, maybe I will.
Yep, that's how I got it. Well, no, I got it for about 40, I think. CD Keys went mad.
Okay. I
thought...
think I did see offers like that back, a while ago. But I just didn't jump on it. But it's 50 quid in the Xbox store. But I guess I'm accustomed to like, 50 quid, that's cheap. It's not 60 or 70. That's jump on that.
Yeah.
But that's me. That's my list, James.
Yeah, I mean, I've played a couple of things this week. I mean, I did try to play a bit of Assassin's Creed, and I was really into it when I first started playing it. I've played it for about 4 hours or so, and then I stopped because I started playing like PS5 games and everything. Went back to it, and I'm not enjoying it as much as I was before. But I think it's far too early to like be able to give like a judgment or whatever on it. It's just.
Are you out of the thing? Are you out of the first area?
What do you mean by the first area?
Title screen.
Tutorial.
No, I've seen all the title screen and all that kind of stuff. That's all happened.
He's pressed start.
Yeah.
He's pressed start.
You've moved to a
Created
different
a
country.
save file.
No, I've not moved to a different country
Right,
yet.
you've not seen the title screen then? You've not seen the title screen?
Have I not? Okay. Well, I played it.
No,
If I look at the clock on the thing has been over 3 hours. So that's
right. Okay,
quite a while I've been
it
playing
took me
for.
about 4 hours to get to the to get to the next area. Yeah.
Yes, I mean it's not. As I said, I can't make a judgment on it yet. But it's just that after coming off of what I have been playing this week, I didn't enjoy it as much. Mostly
Can I
because
say before you move on to that, right? Yeah, please move on to the next area because it's massively more interesting.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
you need to get there at the very least.
Yeah.
It's way more interesting when you get there, for sure.
Well, it looks nice, but it's just like you said. There's an element of sort of jank to it as well. Like after playing like Miles Morales, which I've been playing like most of this week. It just doesn't like. I mean, I know you can't compare the combat in that you're not like flying around and stuff in this, but you can compare like in terms of like how nice it feels and the combat.
Well, I mean,
in Miles Morales is fantastic.
The combat in Spider-Man works for example. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, okay, go on. So you want to talk about Miles Morales, do you?
Yeah, I mean, as I said last week, I mean it's visually amazing, and I mean I continue playing it on fidelity mode rather than in 60 frames, and it's still fine. It's just fantastic. And I think overall, I've ended up enjoying this more than I did the first game, actually. And I think this is largely because it's much tighter than Spider-Man was on the PS4. In that there's no fat. It's all just really, really like everything's really tight. Everything's like it's mission to mission. It doesn't feel like they're trying to overextend the length of the thing. And it's like there are optional side quests and things you can pick up and everything, but not to the point where it's just like the whole map's like covered in icons and all that kind of thing. And they're all really enjoyable to do. Like each of these sort of like sort of swinging around, just like picking up packages and stuff is fun. It's still really good.
I really enjoyed the side missions in the 2018 Spider-Man, but here that every one of these new ones is so much better, so much more refined, so much more directed, and just way better than it was in that original 2018 game.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I think this is probably better. And also, I mean, the story I think is more interesting. Don't want to go into detail, but the way that you see Miles grow as a person, because he's growing from mistakes, constant mistakes. And it was something they talked about on Player One podcast, was this sort of like idea of like, this is a teenager, like more so than Peter is, and he's making the mistakes of a teenager, and you really see this like throughout the whole game, and it's great, like the way that's done, like sort of the awkwardness and everything.
That character in the original Spider-Man game, and from like I know I said that I wasn't completely bowled over by Into the Spider-Verse. Like, don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed it. I just not waved my hands crazy for it, and I know that's on me rather than anyone else. But just from those two experiences of playing as Miles, or playing a game with him in it and watching that film, infinitely better character than Peter Parker, in my opinion. Like, I'm way more invested in that character. I just like everything about that character. I don't know what it is. It's just the way it's represented in those two games is just wonderful. I really, really like that character, and that's I'm so glad they made a game like with Miles as the lead.
Yeah, I think you definitely would like it because also they build out all of like the his family and all the people around him as well, and they're all great. Like they're all people that it's fun to spend time with. And I really really enjoyed that. I mean, I'd say the villain sort of side of things is probably not quite as strong as Spider-Man, but in general it's a lot better. Mostly, also, I mean, as I said, the combat is also significantly better, I feel, but that's because of the abilities that Miles has compared with Peter, in the fact that you have like this cloaking ability, where you can sort of go invisible. There's also like the electricity as well that you can use, and it just adds like complete like different layers to the combat, like to the point where I was doing one of the boss fights and I was like struggling with it, and then I suddenly remembered, oh hang on, I can go invisible, and it like totally just
hang on, a mechanic in the game.
Yeah.
Well, there's a point
button, and it's like it's one that I hadn't bothered with that much because all the others I was enjoying using and like they were very effective. And then I was like, oh yeah, I'll try that, and it worked out absolutely fine. But it's just so slick and well put together. It's just great. It's just really really good, and I think partly because it's not very long. I mean, it took me I finished it like 100%. I think it took about 12 hours. I think it was like totally.
Oh, wow!
But I was really happy with that 12 hours. Like it didn't feel like I'd played for 12 hours. It felt like sort of 8 or whatever. I just wanted to keep playing it. I didn't want it to end because it was just.
I'm surprised
so
it's that short though. That I thought it was like 12 hours for the main story and then loads of side stuff.
No, I think you could probably do, if you just did like mainlined it, you could probably do it in about 8. I'd imagine you could probably do it quite quickly. So it is short. It's not a long game.
I was slightly confused by what someone said on a podcast recently. You've got the whole of New York to travel around as Miles Morales, right?
No, it's just one of the islands. It's not like everywhere.
Oh, that's weird, isn't it?
That's pretty standard. It's just Manhattan.
Spider-Man was like that as well.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Spider-Man wasn't both islands, was it? I can't remember.
No, it wasn't both islands, but it was the whole of Manhattan, like downtown and Central Park, all the way out to Brooklyn. It's a huge space.
I don't remember. Let's have a look.
What do you mean you don't?
No, because I don't know the layout of New York very well, so I'm just having a look. Hang on.
That's mad. I didn't know it was like a sectioned off. I just assumed it was in that same area.
Mm-hmm.
But you were playing as Miles Morales in a new story, not a whole separate.
No,
thing.
it is. It's the same area as you were in Spider-Man.
Right. Okay. Fine. Yeah, that's cool. That's what I'm saying. So it's got that whole area from the first.
Yeah.
First Spider-Man. It isn't a sectioned off portion.
No.
Like
It's not like that. No.
Good. Right. Okay. I must have misheard what someone said on a podcast. So, okay, that's cool. And what version did you get? Did you get the standalone or did you get the upgrade for? Old Spider-Mans.
I just got the standalone. I didn't bother with with that because I felt I played Spider-Man. I don't think I'm going to go back to that. And this just felt good, and I just really. I mean, there's also like parts at the end that hint at more to come, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, this is the next question, isn't it? Because I heard this on the Special Moves podcast, which I always recommend. It's a good show, weekly show. They were saying, where do they go from here? For Spider-Man, where does that series go? Because it's not like they can change location, is it?
They can't do that. But
I'm thinking the next game is going to introduce the Spider-Verse stuff, right? If you can't create a new area, then really fuck up the one you've got. Do you know what I mean? Like make it go crazy. I think that's what he's got to do.
Oh, it'd be some nice SSD shit as well, wouldn't it?
It really would.
Jumping dimensions. It's like the same city, but a bit different.
I mean, this is a bit different because this is set like Christmas, like winter time. You got snow and all that kind of thing, so it feels quite a bit different, to the the original Spider-Man. But yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
If they want to like,
the snow looks so good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, what did you settle on in terms of the mode you were playing on in the end?
Just on fidelity. I didn't bother with 60 frames. I was happy
Oh man, you've got to try that
I tried
before
it.
you.
I tried it and it was amazing. It was
Yeah,
very
we tried it
good.
last
It's
week,
just that I liked everything looking really shiny as well. Was really nice. It was just
Like,
it was good for that.
that's the difference you've paid for with the new console, isn't it? More than the frame rate, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I've been enjoying 60 frames so much recently. I think maybe that's the way I'm personally going to go in the future whenever that option's given to me. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? These options we're talking about now.
It is
consoles.
Because for some reason I'm definitely a frame rate over resolution guy, but if there's cool lighting involved, suddenly all bets are off. So,
yeah. Have you something that we haven't talked about with the PlayStation 5 yet? Have either of you experienced this new 3D audio stuff?
No.
I mean, I've got a headset and I've played games using it, but I can't
that was
say
their big push when they initially
different.
Yeah, that was their big push, wasn't it? When they initially announced it, they even said, "Oh, you'll get to experience this stuff on normal TV speakers."
Really?
Yeah,
But
I think any standard stereo headphones would do it as well. I mean, it sounds good.
I think a lot of game sound engines have been doing this stuff for a while anyway, though. So I don't really, don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe if it's handling it at system level, maybe that saves devs time and resources, possibly. But,
yeah.
Don't know.
On the Xbox,
or do you reckon Sony are just like, "How does online play, guys?" Yeah, yeah, we know.
I eventually bought a new headset as well. My other one was like 11 years old, and I bought that, and also with the new Xbox, I paid for like that £15 Dolby Atmos license, and that sounds amazingly good.
Oh yeah.
I'm really impressed with that. The fact you can genuinely, determine the height of sound versus just it's coming over left or right. You can actually see.
I thought Atmos needed
a
fancy speaker setup. Was it not? Your headphones.
What's that say?
So I thought Atmos needed a fancy speaker setup because of the verticality thing.
No. I mean, you can just buy a license on your Xbox, and I think it turns most headphones in the ability to do that.
Interesting.
Yeah, Sean. I think there's a specific headphone mode with that Dolby Atmos thing if the headphones are supported, right?
Yeah, so you can on the Xbox you can have like Windows Sonic or whatever. You can buy the Atmos license, and you can have some other settings, I guess. But I bought the Atmos, and then once you buy that, then that's your default sort of sound profile for your console.
Cool.
And games that support it, which I presume
is it one-off payment?
Yeah, I mean, I paid like £15, but I think for Black Friday and stuff, it's like a tenner. But it was excellent. Yeah, no, it's the fact you can determine the height of sound is really interesting, and I don't have like big expensive speaker like surround sound or anything or whatever, or a soundbar at home. So what I've really just been using is my old Turtle Beach surround sound in inverted commas headset, but it feels really excellent. I mean, obviously I've got a new one, so that it felt better anyway. But yeah, I'm really impressed with Dolby Atmos.
Yeah,
it sounds great on PS5. I can't say I've really determined this must be the 3D audio, but it just sounds great. So
no, fair enough. No, yeah, I'm just having a look. So yeah, any pair of stereo headphones will do the Atmos software stuff. There is like one pair of headphones that actually has like multiple drivers in the ear cup to do the height that way, but it's like a Razer headset that probably costs £1 million.
£7,000. Yeah. Okay, James, back to your list.
So the other thing I've been playing is Sackboy, because I've gone back to that.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
And yeah, I've been playing it with Rachel. Asher doesn't seem interested. I don't know why, but as I said, it's probably because his streamers aren't playing it yet. But she is really loving it. Like, we've had a great time with it. I mean, it's definitely not like up there as sort of like a Mario 3D World, kind of game, really. But it's still good fun. And one of the things that I really like about it is they've kind of cut back on the, how do I put this?
Britishness.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. Like the Britishness of like Little Big Planet games, like like the stupid names for stuff and the embarrassing voiceovers and all that kind of stuff.
Oh look, we got Stephen Fry. Everyone loves Stephen Fry, don't they?
Yeah, not if
he's okay. Yes, I suppose. I don't...
But no, it doesn't.
I think he's still doing the voice. He's still doing the narration, isn't he?
I don't think so. I didn't notice it, or maybe I just wasn't paying attention. But I don't know. It's better because it doesn't feel like they're sort of crowbarring like all that sort of like twee stuff into it, and it's nice that that's not there.
I can imagine how much you hate that.
Yeah,
I can imagine how much you hate. Well, hello, little sack boy, and the Dutch James just like gurning at the screen.
Let's all have a cup of tea, and it's always like, oh, fuck off. It's just...
Okay, no, right. So when I heard the narration, I just thought, okay, it sounded like a nice person. And then I think Jill was like, is that Stephen Fry? And I was like, oh, I think he did the previous ones. It probably is. I've just read, no, it's not Stephen Fry, but it's someone who obviously sounds very similar to Stephen Fry.
Act.
Well, either way,
cheaper, innit?
it hasn't ruined my enjoyment yet of it, so that's kind of good. The jumping...
Imagine later James loading it up and going, where the fuck is my fry? Where is my fry? Go on.
So, I mean, the jumping in it's not floaty, definitely not floaty, but it's not as good as like a Mario game, like at all. It's just serviceable. You know, it's fine. It's kind of okay. But one of the things the game does do really well is it combine like the music is generally very good, and it combines with like the levels, not quite in the same. You know, like with Mario, it has like in 3D World, it had all those like levels where it was like things were being done to the rhythm and stuff. Yeah, and it kind of has things which feel like that, although they're not really like playing to the rhythm. But then it turns out that the music they're using is all like current songs as well. I mean, I know this now because Rachel told me. And
oh man,
Taylor Swift. That's Taylor Swift.
I was like listening to it, and I was like, oh, this is quite good. And she's like, yeah, it's like whatever. And I was like, oh,
Dad, this is Gangnam Style, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
This is the Beatles, Dad, for crying out.
But no, there was a couple of really good like tracks there, like that would it really
name them.
Like I can't fuck those. Come on. It's like,
just give it a go. Just give it a go. Name an artist that's Just
I don't know, Dave. Honestly, I don't know. Honestly, I can't do that.
Give it a guess. I just want you to guess.
I don't know. I don't know.
Beethoven.
The other night, I was on like Apple Music, and I was just like looking through the stuff at the music videos and stuff, and I was just like, oh, I don't want to get into this. It's ridiculous. It's just
no, go on. Stop there.
No, I'm not doing this. I'm not.
No, who did you see?
It's just the terrible cliche of just. I watched it and I'm like, I don't understand this at all. I think it's awful.
You're like, why is all this WAP stuff? WAP. That's on the phones, isn't it?
What artist was it? Was it Green Day?
No.
What artist was it?
Was it Elton John?
It was Little Mix, and I didn't think it was very good.
Well, Little Mix are on hiatus, aren't they?
I don't know, but it was a music video on there.
That's been since about 2002.
No, just a lot. I think Jesse left, and it doesn't matter.
Who?
Anyway, so how far are you into it, James?
I've only just finished the first world. Because I'm not playing it like every night or whatever, because I'm just playing it with Rachel. So it's like whenever we can play together, and which is not all the time, obviously.
I want John Denton to do a reaction video with just James in the background, not explaining it, but just with James in the background, just for one video where he comments on the music as well. I just want to see that happen.
No, I'm not doing that.
How James reacts to grime. I'd love to see that. Okay, cool. So it's half decent then.
Yeah, there's a lot of variety, which is nice, and it's it feels like a good
I
game.
think it's more than half decent. From what I played, I really enjoyed it. I just went and did other things, but yeah, so, I think we are going to get another pad and play that over Christmas, me and Elodie, because swapping the pad obviously isn't as good.
It's one of those games. It feels like it's probably like around an 8. Do you know what I mean? Like in terms of being, it's around that sort of level of being good, and so it's great. Looking forward to playing some more of that. And the other thing I played, which is, you're going to ask why, is Wolfenstein: The Old Blood. And
why?
Which is, well, this is the thing, because didn't this come out? This came out like 360 generation, yeah.
Yeah.
Did it?
I think so. Because it was.
Which one was it? Was the DLC for the second one?
No, hang on.
Yeah,
no, I definitely played New Order on PS4. So I think it was just last. I think it was now last gen, but yeah.
Yeah, it was the one that came with the first like Machine Games like Wolfenstein one, which was
So the New Order was the Machine Games' first Wolfenstein game, and then the Old Blood was their expansion for that, wasn't it?
Yeah,
okay.
and it's excellent, and it's because I wanted to play a first-person shooter. I just felt like playing one, and I knew I've had this like in my library for a very long time and never got around to playing it. And I knew it was short as well. It's only about 6 hours long, so it's not a very it's quite quick to get through. And it's again in a similar way to Miles Morales. It's great because it's really focused and the story is really good. And it's very violent, which is kind of nice. But
so did it come out? This come out after 2, or was it before 2?
Oh, it was
before
2.
Yeah.
Right, before 2. Okay, I'm with you. Yeah. I'd heard
before
that was quite
co-op one that no one even talks about.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say that I kind of enjoyed it quite more than 2, really, because
Really?
Well,
I never played 2 or this, and I really should.
2 was very good, but this was very short. But then also, it felt less like they were. Oh, how do I put this? It was less like they were trying really hard, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense? It doesn't make any sense, does it?
No, it sounds like it was lazy more than anything.
No.
It's like they didn't give a shit.
But no, it's like
this is a whole level from another game.
So with Wolfenstein 2, because I know some of the things that happen in it, and I'm not going to spoil it, but yeah, there's definitely an air of like, fuck, how do we top the last one then?
That's exactly what I mean. Yeah. And it doesn't. This doesn't feel like it's doing that. Yeah. But it just feels like it's very comfortable with what it is and what it's trying to do, and that's why I enjoyed it. I thought it was great, and the characters are great as well. Like there's some very good villains in this. Which
what did you play on?
On Xbox. Yeah.
Oh right, okay. Okay. All right. Cool. Can I just tell you a quick story before we move on to listener questions?
Yes.
Harry, we finally had a breakthrough moment with Harry in terms of gaming this week, and that was him bursting into tears because he got beaten on FIFA because he was playing, like, Harry's been playing on my profile on Xbox. Mm-hmm. And obviously, when I play FIFA, I knock the difficulty up, and I've got my own set of controls. I customise my controls in that game. So he's been playing that, and he burst into tears because he got absolutely hammered by a team. And I said, right, well, this is it now. I need to create you a profile. And the problem with that is that you have to link it to a gamer tag and all that sort of stuff. So I sat down with him and said, right, you've got to come up with a name for yourself. And what it does, this is the annoying thing, right? What it does now is if you put a gamer tag in, it will always say it's available. But then it just adds numbers, but it looks like it's not adding numbers until I assume you
that's
confirm
how they do it now. It's like Discord. They changed that last year, didn't they?
Yeah, it's really annoying. So Harry noticed the numbers after his suggestions immediately and was like, I don't want those numbers at the end of it. And I was like, well, you can't. You've got to pick something original then. And some of his suggestions were hilarious. Try Xbox Gamer. No, Harry, that is not going to be available. Just try it. So I had to type in Xbox Gamer. Look there, the numbers at the end. Okay, Xbox Boy. Try that. No, I'm not going to. Obviously, I'm not going to reveal what we finally landed on, right? But some of these suggestions were hilarious. Like, I mean, Minecraft was one of them. Just make me Minecraft. Mario Galaxy was another one, and trying to explain to him. But my favourite moment of the whole process of going through this, which took over an hour, right, was when we finally landed on his gamer tag and we committed to it. I said, are you sure? Here we go. Pressed A, confirmed it all. He turned around to Joe and said, yes, I'm finally a proper person.
I'm a real life boy.
That's what justified his existence as a human being, getting a gamer tag. I guarantee the one that he's chosen, he'll want to change in about 2 years' time, though, because it's quite embarrassing. But
it's the same. Ashes is the same like that. There's no way he's going to want to grow up with that one around.
So when you had to set him up with an email address, right?
Yeah.
Did you choose that email address?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, same here. Because I could have gone, what do you want as your email address? But I know how important it is just to have a decent email address that you don't look on and think I'm going to have to change that. Yeah, because my one I really want to change, but it's linked to so much stuff now I can't do that. Mine's still got Joypod in it somewhere. So it's like I can't. But everything's linked to that now, so changing that's not really an option. But I'm going to have to do something with that. But yeah, no, I got him a very standard email address, and he's got this wacky gamer tag. So it's crazy how excited he was. But I was really surprised by how good the the parental controls are on that thing. Like throughout that whole process, it's really strong. Like he's not allowed to do anything on that Xbox without it letting me know that he's doing something. So that's that's quite handy. It was all linked to my email. There we go. Sorry, I just wanted to share the fact that my 6-year-old son had become a human being today.
Entered society. Finally,
he's been entered
I
into
think
society.
actually as part of today's big Xbox update or the November update, whatever it is, I think now like you can actually add family member accounts when you set your console up and stuff. And
yeah, that's exactly what I did. Yeah. Well, in fact, actually, it knew what to do. So obviously, you put his date of birth in, and it was like, right, what account is the parent? And just select that account, and
have you got the family app?
I haven't got the family app. I didn't know there was a specific app.
Yeah, it's like a family settings app. So I presume it does the same thing that the Switch one does.
I might have a look. I always found the Switch one really annoying though, because like switching between, like, it would come up with a big thick bar at the top saying parental controls, and it didn't seem to be able to jockey multiple accounts.
No, you
that
can.
well.
Yeah, because we do
I'm
this
sure
all the
you
time.
could. I'm pretty sure I misunderstood it. Like, I'm not. This isn't directed as a criticism to what's it, but when I set it up, it was just way intrusive, way more intrusive than I thought it would be. And of course, the cool thing with Xbox, can you do this on PlayStation where you link your profile to a controller?
Yeah, I think so.
Because that is a godsend. Like the fact that he's got his controller, when he turns the Xbox on with his controller, it goes to his profile, no fucking about. When I turn my one on, it automatically logs me in because it's linked to that specific controller. That's a big difference as well. That really helps with things.
It does that. I mean, it does that on PlayStation. I think with the if you've got the camera, it does that because obviously it does your face or whatever. For
oh god, the Xbox used to do that with Kinect, didn't it? Yeah. Like, that was creepy. You turn the Xbox on, then sit down in front of it, and it would just bling, bling, hi Dave. And you're like, ugh. Stop recognising me.
Update to Windows 10 on my computer, and I booted it up today, and it was like, oh, now you can log in with a smile. Oh, fuck off.
Did you see that thing today?
It's horrible.
Did you see that thing today with the patterns that Microsoft have been putting out about monitoring people at work and everything?
Oh God,
it's like using like Office 365 to like. One of the things I saw, this is just the headline, so I don't even know how accurate this is. It just said like how there was a pattern which was for seeing how engaged you were, like like on camera and stuff like that.
Because they've got that technology that can read your eyes and where you're looking on the screen.
Follow where you're looking.
That's not good.
I always get because we use Office 365 at work, and you get these emails like every few days, like, oh, here's like how focused you are and stuff. And because I'm just shit at using my calendar, like I tend to do handwritten notes for work stuff. Every time it's like, you've had like 35 hours of focus time this week. And it's like, no, I fucking haven't. Fuck off. I'm just not telling you what I'm doing. Like, piss off. Anyway, sorry.
All right, okay. Let's get on to the questions.
Questions. If you want to send us one, go to tcgs.co/dear TCGS. Rootburn has done that. It says, long-time listener from the early days of Midnight Resistance and Joypod. Thought I'd drop a line just to say appreciate you all, especially the main one, Sean. Cheers, mate.
Okay.
It's been really refreshing to have some down-to-earth opinions on the Series S from James and Sean, so much so that it persuaded me to put an order in for one. £250 for a console which can play current games with moderate bling at 1080p 60 frames is a bargain, even if it's just a more convenient way to play Game Pass games which are suited to a living room rather than a desk. One ask, given Sean knows so much about Destiny 2, is there any chance he could do it getting started with Destiny 2 for the game as it stands now on Game Pass? I did buy it at launch, but it was a mess, so I waited for patches and an expansion, which I bought, but I never really got stuck into it, and now Bungie appear to have taken my game away from me. But I may be confused because understanding Destiny 2 expansions, the base game, and their structure requires a PhD in ludonarrative dissonance. Also, more Sean lunchtime streams, but don't give up on interesting PC titles now you got a shiny new Xbox. I haven't done any streams for ages. I did Bell's Kitchen, and that's been it for about 3 weeks. I should probably sort that out. I mean, Destiny 2, I think my only advice is basically what I was saying last week about the new light campaign. It'll be weird because you've already played, so you'll have to load it up, go to the tower, and then there's a little console from there where you can sort of activate the new light campaign and just do that. Like, that seems like it's a much longer but much more well-rounded introduction to the general sort of flow of things now. The only confusing thing, again, as I said last week, is that with Game Pass you get the new expansion, but you don't get the new season, which is like a separate extra thing that is currently on the go. But I guess like just play the new expansion stuff, which is all on Europa, the big ice moon. If somehow you find yourself running out of things to do, then maybe have a look at getting the season pass as well, and that'll just be an extra layer of activities on top of that. That's kind of it. It's definitely a lot better now for that stuff. Are you guys bothered when the next gen patch comes in? I know Dave you mentioned it, but
I want to play it, but I'm worried that Cyberpunk is out very shortly, not 2 days after.
It's the problem. There's loads of stuff at the moment. It's just the time.
Yeah, it's weird. I have a feeling that like a lot of people are going to sort of come around to Destiny 2 in like late January, early February when we burn out Cyberpunk. There's fuck all else out. It's gonna be weird, but we'll see. Right, Maria Mendieta says, "Dear TCGS Colossi of the podcasting world."
Oh, brilliant! That was a good one.
Did you like that one? I thought that was a bit of a stretch, but okay.
Shut up. That was a good one.
She says, much is made of the swinging in the recent Spider-Man games, yet Doom Eternal's meat hook mechanic reminds players that grappling hooks are definitely not things of the past. If you were given a grappling hook, which, for the sake of the question, cannot withstand the stress of being used for travel, how would you use it in your daily lives? I suppose this would be James' go-to device when his garage calendar is out of reach.
So instead of you using the grappling hook to zoom to somewhere, it's pulling stuff towards you?
Yes.
Oh, just Charlie.
I was going to say
100%.
Isaac, Charlie, when he's just being a fucker, just
yeah, Charlie's a nightmare child.
I'm not horrible to my child. He's just been an absolute dick for about a month, and I'm kind of done with it.
Yeah, Charlie's a nightmare child. Like he's the complete opposite to Harry when he was that age.
Really?
He just runs around. He's like the Christmas tree's been up one day. He's broken 4 baubles.
Yeah, Isaac was just tearing it down today. It's just pulling decorations off it, shouting at me. It was brilliant. Great time.
It's one of those kids that when he's doing something naughty, you go, Charlie, you shout at him, and he just ignores you and
don't give a fuck.
On. So to have a grappling
thinks
hook,
it's funny. That's the best.
Yes. Like I was telling him off. He did something really naughty yesterday. I was telling him off, and he wasn't looking at me. Mm-hmm. So I put my face right in front of his and said, "Look at me." And he was looking directly up. His face was facing me, but his eyeballs were just looking at the ceiling. And I almost burst into laughter because it was so funny. But just to be able to sit on my chair and watch him just run off or something and fire a grappling hook and zoom him to me would be just brilliant. Yeah. What a tool that would be.
Actually, yeah, because Isaac fully sprinted into the road the other day as well. That was good. So to be able to just get over here, mate.
The problem is, if your aim's not that good, that's potentially a really bad mistake.
That's true. You don't want to get it in his eye or something.
Firing a grappling hook at a child. Yeah, maybe that's not the best idea.
You just want to snag it, like make sure they're always wearing a hoodie and you can always just get the hood. Pull them up with that. You'd be fine.
Just covered in hooks that you can just hit and grapple onto. Yeah, that's the way to do it.
What else? Matt? I mean, just bags of crisps and stuff from the kitchen. I mean, that's dangerous,
that'd
isn't
be pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, no, because
that was giving my answer because I feel like the last few weeks and months I've been kind of have a snack, to death. It's like, can I have a snack? Can I have this? I'm still hungry. It's like if I can just use the grappling hook to grab a snack and give it to Elodie rather than like get up again and make something else to it. I mean, it's great. She's got a healthy appetite, but also it's like, oh my God, we've got dinner in 5 minutes or we've just had dinner. Yeah.
Don't you use Elodie for that? I use Harry for that all the time. Can you go and get me some crisps? Can you go and get me a beer?
I do that all the time with Asher and he does it, but Rachel won't now. She's just like...
She's got wise to it.
She's like, no. But the thing is, I've always got something on Asher. Like, he's always got to do it because, like, today...
What?
Just before... No, because
he's blackmailing your children.
Well, yeah, because, like... Do you know what he did today, right? Just before we were going to record...
Get the air rifle out.
just
Tell
before...
everyone about the murders if you don't get me a fucking beer.
Well, sorry, just before we started recording, he was having a shower, and then I heard him shouting, and I was like, okay, what's up?
Having a shower? How old is he?
What do you mean? He's 7.
I don't think I had showers until I was about 13.
We've only got a shower. We've only got a shower. We've got no bath.
I mean, Elodie's had showers.
Fair enough.
She's more of a bath person, but
yeah, we haven't got a bath, so it's just the shower. But I heard him shouting, and I was like, okay, what's going on? And what it was he unscrewed the handle off the shower door, and while he was in there and couldn't get out of the shower. And I said to him, like, why did you do that? Like, why did you unscrew the thing? And he was just like, I just wanted to see what would happen. And
well, now he knows.
He's like, now he knows. But then he was like, don't tell Mum of that. And so he's going to be getting me snacks. Is the thing.
Would Chen even care if she finds out?
Probably not, but it's an opportunity, Sean. It's
no, absolutely.
Sorry
Leverage.
for all the kid stories this week, but have I told you Charlie's latest phrase that he runs around saying?
No.
You know the famous clip of Christian Bale freaking out about the lighting?
Yeah.
Charlie walks about the place shouting, "Oh, good for you!" Does it all the time. I'll have to get it on video. It's hilarious. It is, yeah.
Wait, surely he's not heard that clip. There's loads of swearing.
Yes, no, he's not heard that clip. But me and Joe,
okay.
we quote that little bit to each other all the time. Like this. We'll be sitting there like in we'll say, "Oh, there's only one Kit Kat left," or whatever, and you'll say something like, "Oh, well, I've got to have that because I did this," or blah 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 blah, and the other one would shout, "Oh, good for you," like that, right? But Charlie's picked up on that, and he uses it in the right context. It's unbelievable. But I need to try and record that.
Amazing.
It's quite funny seeing a 1-year-old walking about the flat shouting that out. Okay, right, cool.
Right.
We've done the grappling hook.
Rogie says, "Evening, chaps. Hoping you're all well, and may I be the first to wish you a very Merry Christmas." That's a bit premature, isn't it? This is December. Fuck it, it's fine.
I don't care. The rules are different this year.
They are.
The rules are different this
You're
year.
all going to regret this. You're all going to regret it. Because Christmas is going to end up being like lockdown, and it's going to just go on for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then by the end of it, you're all going to be sick of it.
How can you get sick of Christmas?
What is the matter with you?
It's the best.
What a...
Rudgy continues, "Normally I am almost Farlian in my grinchiness and would never countenance mention of the C word before the 1st of December. But after this year, I'm figuring it's whatever can get you through these horrendous times. As Christmas is nearly upon us, I'm looking for some festive help. I recently realised that the only way to get 4 kids out of their rooms and conversing is to set up a video game downstairs. Unfortunately, the only really suitable game we have is 1-2 Switch, which is a little bit shit. Any suggestions as to great Christmas games, doesn't have to be on the Switch, for the family that is now largely teenagers? Thanks for everything this year, lads. You've been awesome." No, you've been awesome, Rogie. Thank you very much.
My first answer was Jackbox Party Pack.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Yep. And there's lots of them.
Good one.
And especially if you're a teenager, just chuck a couple of swears in. That'll be dynamite. They'll love it.
Yeah. But
Just
Overcooked is the answer.
I mean, I don't know what age they are. Maybe some jokes. You know, it'd be good. It'd be great. They'll love it.
Not.
Jesus Christ! What's the matter with you? You don't do that. Even when you're a teenager, you don't do that with your parents in the room.
Oh, come on. If you were 15 and your dad came out with a quality semen joke.
No way.
I'd be mortified. Yeah, if that happened.
Yeah, kill me now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but that's our dads, isn't it? We're not our dads. We know that.
We will be our dads. Like, I'm thinking, hang on.
Our dads. Plus,
hey, Elodie.
Spunk jokes.
No.
That's the improvement. That's the steady improvement, generation to generation.
You're way on your own here.
Yeah, probably. I'm quite tired.
You think it's going to be like that, Sean? Just wait until they're 7 and 8 years old. You'll have a completely different perspective.
Yeah.
Telling them off for saying bomb and stuff.
No, it's weird. We keep just shouting Overcooked in the background, but no one's addressing it. That Overcooked is the one. It's just so good.
Is it, though? Is it not just going to get everyone kicking the shit out of each other in real life?
That's part of the fun, though, isn't it? Like, everyone just shouting at each other and going crazy.
So really spunk jokes are too much, but everyone physically battering each other's fine, is it?
No, because you're not... don't try it. Don't try it and justify your weird idea of dropping spunk jokes into a family gaming session. Sean. No.
Teenagers these days, they've seen it all on the internet. It's fine.
I always go by Jo with this stuff because Jo hates gaming. She hates it, right? She despises the idea of it. Yet she played a lot of Overcooked and we had some really good fun with it. So you can't go wrong with that.
Heave Ho?
God, yeah.
Heave Ho's good. It's way more difficult, though.
Do you think? That's sort of the fun, though. Does it, like, you can fuck up as many times as you want. It's always funny.
Do you know, we played that once as a family, and it ended in tears very quickly.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. I mean, the kids were a bit younger, obviously, when this happened, but yeah. Asher went crazy when that.
I mean, like these kids are teenagers. I'm sure they'll be adept at this. It'll be cool.
Good point.
Pass the pad, Dark Souls. Do that.
Set up 4 Xboxes and play Sea of Thieves.
Don't do that.
It's a good idea. You should do it. Is that it? I can't think of any others off the top of my head.
Yeah, Jackbox, no semen jokes. Heave over.
Whatever.
That's it.
Prude.
No semen jokes. Jeez, I like the fact that we have to explain that.
They should add it as a mode, just in case I'm playing.
They should add it as an episode title. No semen jokes. It's quite a good episode title, actually. I like that. Write that down, Matt.
Yeah.
Right, are we getting? I'm going to have to skip a few because time's getting on and I'm making bad errors in judgment. Ben Humphreys, this is the sort of level I'm on. Ben Humphreys says, "Hi boys, a few weeks ago I had a dream where there was a USB-C port on the back of my PC. It felt so real that I started thinking about what I could use it for. When I went to plug my Oculus Quest into said port, I realised that my dream had crossed into reality and my mind could not separate the two as there was no port to be found. I won't lie, it kind of terrified me. Have you ever got the dream realm and the real world mixed up?"
Matt, we spoke about this on the bonus show. You said absolutely that you fell in love with someone in a dream and then you spent half of the day still in love with them.
Whoa, was it a real person or made up?
Real person.
No, it's happened loads. I was thinking specifically USB stuff.
Has anyone had that specific dream? Is that literally what you thought the question was?
Well, I just thought like, anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah, the whole like having a dream and you're in love or in a relationship of some sort with a person, you wake up and you're like, oh yeah, maybe I do fancy Jane Middlemiss.
You see, because I've had that, but it's only ever been with made up people. So I kind of wake up being like, oh, it's okay, I'm not a piece of shit. It's because they're not even real.
Why is that
not even real?
People.
What?
Why does that make you a piece of shit?
Oh no, it's just the implication that you're lusting after someone who actually exists. Sort of different, isn't it?
Okay.
Well, like Sharon from Accounts.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's a dream. It's all good.
Yeah.
I've had that loads, but less of the USB thing.
Yeah, not so much the USB thing. I once had a dream when Super Mario All Stars came out, and I had a dream I was playing it, and I was playing as Toad, and I realised that he can grab ledges and pull himself up, and I woke up being like, oh my god, so that's what Toad's good for. I thought he was a rubbish character, but he can grab ledges. That's amazing. Loaded the game up, and you can't.
You can do that.
Never dream too big, guys. Meter. Never dream too big because you'll just
be disappointed in the long run. No, I mean, I don't think I've ever got mixed up between the real world and the dream world. I think there's conversations Joe and I have had that I've dreamt and then thought they were, and then brought them up in arguments or something. Joe's like, I've never said that, and I'm like, I'm sure you did like a couple of nights ago. Remember, we were in Spain on a cliff.
No, we were on Mars.
We were on Mars, just chatting away. Remember?
Have you had dreams about like you like having like a really bad, like not even a fallout with your partner, but like an actual dream about like you getting divorced or something, and then woken up just being like,
yeah, I've had all those dreams.
Yeah, I've had them. Yeah,
just waking up, like depending on how it went, like either waking up being like, oh, thank fuck she's here. Or like, oh, I don't think I can speak to her for about 20 minutes.
No, it's always been thank fuck that didn't happen. I've never been angry at her because of an argument we've had in my dream, but I have had moments where I'm like, I've woken up and gone, oh my god, she's still here and she's not mad at me.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
I remember having a bunch of dreams. Well, one specific one where I had a dream. It was at a wedding and I'd lost a camcorder. Obviously, this must be many years ago when they were a thing. And I woke up like feeling so guilty, like, oh my god, I'm going to give me so much trouble. And I was like, oh no, thank God.
That relief is incredible, isn't it?
The camcorder.
It's good.
It's
how,
an amazing feeling.
Because for years after school, I would still have the, forgotten to do my homework dream and then wake up and get the relief of that. And so until I was about 25, I think that was still a thing. And then as you get older, it's just sort of replaced with other responsibilities, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's great.
100%.
Good old brains.
Yeah, there was one point in the in lockdown. No, it wasn't lockdown, was it? Because it was at school. There was at one point where I was working from home, and Joe rang me up at 3:00 and said, "You picking Harry up today?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course I am. You know, I'm picking him up from school today." Right. Well, it's 3:10 and the school have rung me, and no one's picked him up. And I was like, and I had to run down to the school and with my tail between my legs, and that felt like a bad dream.
Yeah.
Why do you have a tail? Were you
That's
dressing
an
up?
expression.
Metaphorical
expression, Matt.
tail.
Yeah, you're doing cosplay at home. You're like, fuck, I'm late.
Dave's gone
pick
full
up.
furry, and then he had to run out and pick the kids up.
You
Unbelievable.
forgot the bottom half was still on.
Why is that the expression? Why is that the
still-
expression we're picking up on? Why is we do expressions all the time? Why have we? Why is that one the boy one?
Don't know. It's
Big
funny
laugh.
though,
Let's get back to Sean talking about his spunk jokes.
That was an expression. That was a
Let's
literal.
not. Let's
It was
not
a
do that.
literal.
The sad truth is, I don't really have dreams anymore, and that's mostly because I don't get enough sleep.
Yeah,
I feel like is it like REM? I think that's what it's called when you have like a
It
certain
does help, doesn't
stage of length for your sleep. And because I rarely get to that point, I rarely have dreams anymore because I'm just not sleeping enough, which is my own problem.
You might find, isn't it? It's more that because you're sleeping less, you're sleeping that heavily that you're just not remembering them. I think that's the thing,
I
right?
don't know.
that's it,
I
isn't it?
thought I read into it once, and it's like you have this like various stages, and it's only when you hit a certain stage that's when you have like the
Yeah, no,
rest
that is a
and all
thing.
good
Yeah,
dreams.
definitely. You get
Either way,
one of them
not-
apps. You can analyze it. You can see what sort of phases you're going into or not.
Yeah, but he's not asleep long enough for that app to kick
Yeah,
in.
because the phase is I get into bed and suddenly the alarm goes off, and I'm like, okay, up again.
Yeah, I only really remember dreams after I've woken up and then gone back to sleep for like an hour, and then I wake up and have really vivid dreams. But
Yeah, because that's when you're just not sleeping as heavily, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah. Not as fun to talk about that though. Is
No,
it?
it's not.
No,
it's quite
let's
sad,
move on.
actually.
Let's move on. Dave Hodgkins says, all right, crew, question for James. What's the most accurate portrayal of a firearm in a video game? Don't necessarily mean the most satisfying to use, but the most accurately realised in terms of stock, barrel, aim, muzzle flash, etc. I'd be interested to hear from an expert on this matter.
This was the craziest thing, and we can't go into it because it's for the Patreons, right?
Yeah,
we can't go too deep into it. But finding out that James was legitimately, and you can't argue against this, an arms dealer, correct?
That's not true. That's complete exaggeration.
Did you trade weaponry for something?
Well, yeah,
Firearms.
but it's
Yeah,
Firearms,
there you go.
yeah.
Guilty.
So yes, arms dealer. And do you own firearms now, James?
Well, I don't think they're technically firearms. I think that's.
Oh, okay. Let's leave it there and move on.
Can you fire them using your arms?
That's what it means, right?
That's definitely what it means.
Okay.
Right, last one. Sorry, go
At
on.
one point during the talkover, James uttered the words, "I only own 2 pistols." Just keep that in mind.
And then it turned out to be more than 2 pistols. But okay.
They're water ones.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not what you said.
Yeah, there's nothing super psycho about these bad boys. Go on.
Last one. Joe King, what were your best and worst subjects at school?
Oh, good one. Good question.
He was always terrible
worst-
at maths.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry,
My worst was maths as well. I hated maths at school.
I think that was my best. It was either maths or science. I was really good at maths and science. Wasn't so good at English, obviously. You lot won't be surprised to find out. But the worst was French, man. I just did not give a shit. I did not feel the need to learn French. I did not try to learn French. I did not do anything in those French lessons. You do a written and a verbal test for your GCSEs in French. I answered every question, j'ai joué le foot, in the verbal one. Because
you didn't.
Yeah, I did. Every question I answered
Why
that.
would you?
I got
why
a U.
would you do that?
One of them would be
I got
right,
a U,
wouldn't
I
it?
think.
Yeah.
Or an E. Yeah, it was like, what
my
do you
God.
do at the weekend? And I said, je joue le foot. I play football.
What colour's your school uniform? Says you in the foot.
And that was it. And the teacher was furious with me 24/7.
I bet.
And
bet.
yeah, well, I hated it. Why
What,
did
outside of school time? That's concerning.
what do you mean?
Still
Yeah,
thinking about
she- yeah.
fucking hate that
She was
Turner lad.
seething when she
Oh
got
my
home,
God.
and I wouldn't blame her. Like, I feel bad for her. I didn't give a shit, but I mean, I don't understand why. Why was I learning French?
Because it's useful.
Yes, it's great to expand your horizons.
Did you do well in French,
language.
Sean?
I was okay at it, yeah.
Okay, well, go ahead. Let's hear some French.
No.
No, exactly, because you've forgotten it all, haven't you? What is the point in learning French?
But it's
because
stimulating at the time.
The way that language is taught in schools is not great. Like
There is
exactly,
that as well, yeah.
Exactly. Do you know
rote
what?
learning sentences, isn't it?
Sean,
Yeah.
here's a quote that I agree with.
Mm-hmm.
Learning another language is an incredible thing to do, and I would say almost essential. Like, what a fantastic thing to do to learn another language,
isn't it? Who said this?
This, I
Turners.
believe it was Shakespeare.
He's really good at that.
I believe it was William Shakespeare on one of his press tours. I can't remember. I'll search it on
Promoting
YouTube.
his new movie, probably.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So I think it's a wonderful skill to have. I really, really do. The way they taught it when we were younger was absolutely shocking.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, you would sit in class and they'd just shout things at you. And
I know, I went to school as well, Dave.
Yeah, we all went to school, Dave.
But also, the
don't
other
you
problem,
agree? It was crap.
the biggest problem,
Yeah, it
also,
was.
there wasn't enough. It's like, there's not enough lessons. Like, you should be doing
half an hour a week.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to really take that in.
Yeah, it doesn't
exactly.
stick, does it?
So
Well, I mean,
I
I
went
liked it,
into each lesson and dossed about for the entire lesson.
DOS is Spanish, Dave.
It's it's interesting.
yeah,
Like,
it's awful.
so I'd forgotten, all of French by the time I'd finished college and stuff, and then went to Barcelona when I was in my early 20s.
You don't want to remember French there.
No, that's
That's the thing you
Yeah.
do though. Like you can sort of because obviously they're both like Latin based. It's surprising how much you can just like obviously not conversationally, but signs and stuff. You can figure out like what an exit sign is, for example, or whatever. It's just stuff like that. You're like, oh yeah, that's actually quite similar, and you sort of translate it via French. So it does.
Yeah, the languages are similar.
But yeah.
So.
I was also terrible at PE, obviously, but then that's not a real subject, is it? So
PE was great. Yeah. The only problem I had with PE growing up was how every teacher seemed bitter that people like football.
Yeah.
Like every PE lesson was never football; it was always rugby or cricket or whatever, and we were just netball, and we were just like, why just not let us play football if that's what we want to do? No, there are other sports. Time for some tennis. No one wants to play tennis. Just give us a fucking football.
Did I ever tell you about the PSE thing? So when we were picking our GCSEs and stuff, we got a choice of like what sports we wanted to do within. Like you had to do PE, obviously. We got to pick from a bunch of them, and there was this one that was like it was called like physical and social education. And me and a couple of my mates were like, I don't really like sports. Well, fine, we'll tick that, I guess. Like that and hockey, I think I had to pick two. And we were like turning up for the first day of PSE, like, what even is this going to be? And then got there and it's like, oh, it's all the nerds. It's all the other people who don't really want to do sports. And it was,
I think
what was it?
I think that's a bit. You go on walks, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it was all just like, just play fucking dodgeball or whatever. Like, the teacher didn't really give a shit. It was just like it was very clearly like, here's all the physically unengaged kids. Let's just let them do whatever allows them to.
Like the setup for an American.
It does.
Gross out comedy of all the nerds saying, "Oh, sign up to PSC! Oh my god, we're playing the dodgeball champions."
I think that's a wonderful idea.
I
genuinely do.
It was good. It was
like
really good.
The whole point in PE is that it's supposed to be getting exercise and getting used to exercise and all that sort of stuff. You don't have to play sport to do that. If people don't want to do that, that's fine. It just makes so much sense to me. But yeah, no, I remember you telling me last time, and it reminded me the amount of times we used to go through just walks around the local area, and that was PSE in my school. But then you had to do that. I don't think it was a choice. But yeah, I think that's a great idea, to be honest with you, because people that don't like sports, man, they don't want to stand out there in those rugby tops you have to wear, just looking around, just thinking, I hate this.
Well, this was it, and it was also that sort of realization. It's like, oh right, so when I'm in a situation where I'm supposed to play not necessarily sports, but do something physical, but I'm removed from the sort of people who really like sports, I was actually much more willing to have a go and
Yeah, and also removed away from the people who are competitive about sports, because those people are really off-putting when you're not.
Yeah. When you're,
you know
shocked.
what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, I'll be choosing PE all day long. I love that stuff. I love cricket and although I hated the fact that we couldn't play football, I still got into cricket and rugby and all that when I was a kid. But I mean, the option for people not doing that just seems like the perfect. Do they still do that? Do you think?
I've no idea. I hope so. I would have thought they'd be even more sort of aware of this sort of thing by now. But yeah,
Harry's PE lessons are weird.
Yeah.
He comes home and goes, "Oh, I did PE. Oh yeah, what'd you do? Yoga? What?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same at my kids' school. It's like that as well.
Yoga's hard work if you do it properly, man.
Yeah, I know, but come on, stick them on a
They're
football.
doing circular breathing, Sean.
No wonder we haven't won a World Cup since '66. If they're all doing yoga,
No, it's
that's
good
the most
to be,
80s dad thing I've ever said.
Yeah, it really is. That's shocking.
Is that it?
I think that's it.
There's a dark cloud looming over us.
Oh, fuck.
Next week, it's the draft. Things are about to get real. If you've started listening this year and you've not heard how we do Game of the Year, then
you're in for a
sit
bad
tight.
time.
Well, you should
The
give me a
next
little
few
explainer
weeks
now.
are gonna-
A little tease, Dave. Go on.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, explain what the process is.
Okay, all right, let's do that. Yeah, sure. So next week's the draft. We all pick 4 games that we want to see as Game of the Year. We also pick wild cards, which is 1 game each, and that goes to a public vote. Then the week after is our Game of the Year show, where we put all those games into a hat. The winner of the wild card replaces one of the games on that list. And we pull them out one by one. We face them off against each other in like a football tournament thing, like the FA Cup.
Round
And they
robin,
go,
knockout.
yeah, they go up against each other, and a game needs 3 votes to go through to the next round. There's 4 of us. If a game gets 2 votes, then the arguing starts to try and, there's been various different tactics to get games through. There's been bartering. There's been deals being made. There's been threats. so that's where that Game of the Year show goes. But if you have started listening this year, I don't think you're going to be quite prepared by how vicious this gets. So
My
just
recommendation is if you listen to the last few months, maybe go back and listen to the last couple of years Gossy shows to sort of get you in the right mindset how it goes down.
I can't believe how much this has crept up on us.
I know, it's ridiculous,
It's nuts,
isn't it?
man.
I mean, it's partly just a
actually
scheduling
here.
thing, right? I think if we could have left it later in the month, maybe we would, but it's just...
I think it's just
the way
a
it's worked out.
2020 thing. I'm like, what,
Well,
it's
yeah.
Christmas?
It really is.
Yeah.
December, what?
It really is. And because I've been focusing on the house move so much for the past 3 months, it's like all of a sudden now that's done. I'm thinking, fuck, Christmas. Oh, and the Gotti show. Jesus, this next month's going to be crazy.
I've got to restock my drinks cabinet. It's
Oh,
yeah.
God, yeah.
Oh,
You really
God.
do.
Oh, God.
If you're not familiar with the process and you've heard all that and you're like, hang on, what's this wildcard business about? Essentially, it's interesting because it means we've all got to pick a game that we think the public will back us on. But if you bet wrong and people vote for something else, then that title gets binned. So
Because we've got the extra incentive that if your game wins the public vote, then the 4 other games you pick are immune from being taken
That's
out
right,
before we start
yeah.
the tournament.
So
Yeah, it
and
means
we-
you start with 5 as well.
We
Great
dropped
chance of
that
winning.
last year because there was some sort of Russian hack.
there was it's a fucking conspiracy. I mean,
So we
that
had to
sounds
drop
like
the
a joke,
immunity.
but it's
Yeah, if that happens again
was.
this year, then basically there is no wild card next year. That's it. You basically
ruined.
ruin the process. So if everyone does it again,
This
needs
is
to be a
mad.
fair
I was
democratic
livid last
process
year. If
this
that happens
time.
again, I'm banning everyone.
Don't
Well,
make
it's
us
also
go
because
and
Matt
bang
got the
everyone
blame,
start.
didn't he? People were blaming Matt for it at the beginning.
They were.
Yeah, but wasn't it your game? No, who?
It was my
your
game.
Sean?
Sean's game. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I just felt bad because obviously the devs caught wind of it. I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. And we had to be like, no, sorry, it's not real. It's fucking awkward.
And then there's a Twitter account.
There was the
which
Twitter
there's a fan
account.
account for the game,
Yeah.
and then the
The
devs
devs tried
contacted
to
them saying
close
thank
it
you as
down,
much for creating a fan account.
But also, can
And
you
then
shut
they'd
it down?
say no, we're not official. Oh
Oh
god.
dear. All right. Okay. So do you want to do the socials for next week, Matt?
Yeah, well, so this week, this Friday, James is continuing his Alien Isolation stream. You didn't talk about that, James.
I didn't
Last
know.
one was good.
Playing.
It was, well, not that good. There was,
Oh,
I mean,
come on, when you jumped out your skin.
well, yeah, that. Do you know why that happened? Because I watched that back, and it's because
alien popped up?
I had the game sounds down so low that I didn't hear it coming behind me. Like, I didn't hear it.
But you sounded pretty scared before that.
Yeah, maybe a bit, but it was,
Okay.
So, yeah, if you missed the first couple of Alien Isolation streams, they're on our YouTube channel, as all our streams are if you miss them live. But yeah, Alien Isolation, that's Friday at 9. Yeah, I'm probably not going to do Super Mario on Sunday, so that's it for streams. If you've got Amazon Prime, you've got Twitch Prime Gaming, of course, and you get one free subscription a month for that, and we really appreciate it. If you go over to our channel, search for TCGS Co on Twitch, and you can subscribe. Do it on desktop, though, because on mobile, you can't do it, and it's a bit complicated.
Oh, is that broken again now?
Well, like, you've got to get like Prime tokens and stuff.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they changed. Yeah,
it's crazy. They haven't quite made it on mobile. Whatever. Anyway,
Bezos fucking
Amazon
stealing
Prime,
money from us.
please go over and give us your free sub. We really hugely appreciate it. We're on Patreon, of course. Patreon.com/TCGS. You can get exclusive podcasts. Where this month James talked about his experience watching some Pixar movies. Next month Sean is watching The Office. Can't wait to hear about that. And we did a talks over if you're on the £8.50 and above tier, and there's other stuff there, of course. And there's the website tcgs.co, and there's a store there to get TCGS merch and other stuff, of course. And that's it.
I think Dave's died.
Okay, thank you for listening. We'll see you next week.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. My mute button's broken, apparently.
Great.
Okay, let me just do that again.
It's all right, James. No, James ran with it. It's fine. We're
Yeah,
done.
you saved it,
Oh,
yeah.
God, James, you closed the show this week. Go on.
Yeah.
I did. I've already
You just
done it.
did.
It's all
Yeah,
done.
so done, mate.
Yeah.
Taken care of, mate.
Goodbye.
Well, James, if you're closing the show, we need an out. We need like a little saying.
That's the point. Yeah, you
Yeah.
got to.
Go on.
Thanks for getting through it.
See you next week. Goodbye.